After the trials, the tribulations, and everything that went on at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve 1 week ago, we welcome you to qualifying for the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Wilmington along with Nick Rowland as we are deep in the heart of Silverstone in Northamptonshire in England. Drivers, as always, have got themselves 3 laps to get themselves as fast as possible, giving them the perfect opportunity to get themselves potentially pole position on the grid. 1 week ago, it was Kazuki Omishima who was able to get himself pole position, and he led 90% of the race before it all went wrong for him in the closing stages. What can happen today? We are about to find out, and Nick, it's great to have you back.
Oh, it's good to be back, and especially around the historic Silverstone. Even if the new bit's not that great, it's still a wonderful track.
And you see cars right now are on the racetrack. We see this is one of the INX Racing drivers. Isaac Price right now is currently on a qualifying lap. Number of drivers are all trying to get themselves going as fast as possible. We're going to check in with Hugo Louise in the number 3 car. He's currently working himself out of the final corner. This is Luffield 1 and Len Luffield 2. I say it's the final corner. You've actually got Woodcock the corner after that, but that goes flat out for all of these drivers. You see 8 minutes 30 seconds left on the play clock, and Hugo Louise that time goes up into provisional 3rd place there, but it's Alexei Usiakola who's currently atop of the timesheet, and we've got Yuhu Abe on the racetrack right now as well in that number 30 car. Now, Abe qualified 3rd place last time. Of course, it was his running racing teammate who was the guy who was able to get pole position, Kazuki Omishima. Yuhu Abe worked himself out on Luffield 2 down through Woodcock. Let's see what Yuhu Abe can do. Can he go any faster on his 2nd lap? The answer is going to be no, he doesn't. This is his warm-up lap, actually, so Yuhu Abe is about to put another lap in the books, but Abe and Yakola looking very fast right now. So then, Nick, when we're having a look at Yuhu Abe in that 30 car, qualifying 3rd with his running racing teammate in pole position, is this going to give these running racing drivers now some renewed confidence as we are now into the middle part of the season?
Definitely, especially a driver that started the season quite well, and then to go, or he's just been displaced actually by Martin Kroenke. He's now gone into 2nd place, and Abe's come down to 3rd. So it's all chopping and changing pretty quickly around there as well. But yeah, renewed confidence, especially around a circuit like this, where you do need a lot of confidence as well, and commitment, and it just goes to show that those guys are starting to come back to the forefront.
On board with Yuhu Abe, who works himself down into the Abbey chicane. Lot of oversteer in the centre of the corner now. Now flat out through bridge. You see, you're increasing speed as you come out of bridge corner. Then you flick it to the left-hand side. Now you're into that tight, twisty section to end the lap. And the last part of this lap is very similar to what we used to have at Hockenheim back in the good old days. That section through Brooklands and then into Luffield. Very difficult for these drivers. You see Abe going very sideways. That is his lap over there.
Big shame there. He was right out on the curb. He tried to power on as much as he could and control the rear of the car. Couldn't get it done, though, and crosses over the line. But yeah, big disappointment there for Yuhu Abe. But nevertheless, that's been a good qualifying time on a 20.231.
Alexei Usiakola right now working himself down into the Beckett's complex. We'll talk about this in just a couple of moments' time. You see just how sweeping this section of the racetrack is right now. Looking behind the catch fencing there with Alexei Usiakola. Now he's onto the hangar straight away. Of course, the site of possibly the greatest pass in the history of Formula 1 in the 1980s.
Yeah, and he's come through the slow section now into the slower part of the circuit now, and it's he's missed the apex of the first corner. Slowly powering on. Look at the oversteer he's actually trying to control there. So beautifully held, but very, very difficult nevertheless as he comes through into the I guess now more so older section, but nevertheless he's committed through the corners there. Actually took a lot more curb than he needed to as he comes through into the final sector.
Yep, so on board with Alexei Usiakola. Can he improve on his time? Of course, he is provisionally scored in pole position in that number 26 Glacier racing car. However, we'll get confirmation as he comes past the start-finish line. Out of Luffield 2 he comes, down towards Woodcock. Can he improve? No, he's not. He's going to abort that lap. So, it looks as though most of these drivers have done their qualifying times. And just outside of our screens, actually, Gregor Hutu up into 2nd place on the grid.
Oh, yeah, big jump there for Gregor Hutu. So he's just done a 120.189 to Yakola's 110. So still a little bit in it. 700s sounds nothing, but realistically is quite a lot. And Cronky Man sitting in third place as well. So Hugo Luis, he's down in fifth on a 20.2. Oli Pacala just jumped up now as well. 120.142. A great lap there for Pacala.
Yeah, and we know how Piccardo was very good at qualifying when he won his first race of the campaign. And it seems to be that for the Glacier Racing guys, if they can start out front, then they can really have themselves a great race. Oli Piccardo has got one more chance to try and go for that pole position, and we know just how good those Glacier Racing drivers can be if they get on the front row of the grid. Right now, they are scored 1 and 2. In fact, it's an all-finished top 3 right now. Yakola from Picala, and then it is Gregor Hutu, and a very close grid. But the guy who's losing out is Hugo Luis. Of course, he had bad luck a week ago, and now he's just 6th place on the grid for so far, but he is heading back out onto the racetrack, and this is going to be possibly the most difficult and crucial lap he's going to run all season, because for Hugo Luis, he has to get victory here.
Oh, he's been displaced as well. Rocco Baronone, he's just gone into 6th place now. He's just done a 120.251. That was 100th quicker than what Hugo Luis has done, so he's got to pull something out the bag now. Down to 7th.
So, you see, Gregor Hutu, he's working himself through Stowe Corner right now. You've got Oli Piccardo, he's working himself out of Luffield too. Can Oli Piccardo go to pole position? He's going to work himself through Woodcut. He's going to go, oh, so close to the fence there. And for Oli Piccardo, it is not going to be faster there. And I think he might have just grazed the wall at the end of it. He stays in 2nd position for the time being. And it's just, they get this, 33 1,000ths of a second behind Alexei UC Yakola. Gregor Hutu working himself now down into Bridge Corner. He's got himself just a handful of corners left to go to try and get pole position here in that number 1 Team Redline car. Can Gregor Hutu get pole position? And Hutu's qualifying, don't forget, hasn't been the best this season. He didn't qualify inside the top 5 for the 2nd time in succession at Montreal 1 week ago. But as he works himself past the start-finish line, Gregor Hutu is not going to go faster that time, but he's got one more lap to try and get that job done. We're on board with him, and this is the beautiful part of the racetrack, that Maggots-Beckett's complex, Nick. This is where you see driver skill.
Yeah, absolutely, and not too far behind as well is Hugo Luis as he comes through that section as well. But wonderful part of track this, and really a lot of high-speed commitment here. Just got Luis on board as well, and he has just thrown that car through there, hoping for as much as he can possibly get as he comes down the hanger straight towards Stowe Corner. High-speed entry here, flicks it in very, very late actually, opts for that late apex as late as he could possibly get it. And nicely cut through Vale and Club now. But yeah, Hugo Luis he's on a good lap himself. But Gregor Hutu is just a few car lengths down the road.
And a lot of oversteer. Big oversteer there for Hugo Luis. Now, he'll have one more lap to try and get the job done. This is it. So, Hugo Luis is not going to get himself anywhere near pole position in this event here today. Now, the attention must turn to Gregor Hutu. Can he put another nail in the coffin of Hugo Luis' championship charge? You see, he's working himself now out of Luffield, working himself down towards Woodcut for what will be his final opportunity. Can Gregor Hutu go and get pole position? We'll find out the answer any moment now, and then it's going to be, no, he doesn't. He goes faster.
Improves time.
Yeah, improves his time. He's 33 1,000ths of a second faster. However, is exactly 2 100ths of a second behind right now, Oli Piccardo. So it looks as though Paul Ilbrink is the last of these drivers on a run, and we'll go on board of him as he works himself now down towards the end of the lap. Paul Ilbrink, what is he going to do? Well, he moves up into the 17th place on the racetrack. But for Hugo Luis, you're going to have to say, Nick, that was a disastrous day for him.
Yeah, qualifying already. That's been a really, really difficult session there for Hugo Luis, considering that Juho Abe and Rocco Barone are number 13, 28, and they're in 5th and 6th. What wonderful qualifying sessions for those two.
So, that seems to be qualifying in the books. We'll let the clock expire. But as it stands provisionally right now, it is Alexei Yakola scoring pole position. And it is going to be a Glacier Racing front row with Oli Piccardo lining up alongside him. After some difficult races, all of a sudden, the Glacier Racing duo are back into form, Nick.
It's great to see as well. Oli Piccardo has been my man on tips for a few races this season, and honestly, God, today I'm going to him for that man again. Oli Piccardo for this one, but Yakola, what a qualifying that has been. Nicely, just edging yourself out in front, but that's, like you said, a finish 1, 2, 3 as well.
Yep, so you see the play clock, 2 to 1 to 0. It is over. The session is done. And, well, it's been an interesting one here today at Silverstone. But confirmation of your result, it is going to be Alexei Yakola scoring pole position here today in the qualifying session for the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Oli Pekala will line up alongside him on the front row of the grid, and then it's going to be Gregor Husu for Team Redline starting in the 3rd position. Martin Kroenke in 4th, and then Juho Abe rounds out your top 5. But Abe and Baroni, great qualifyings by them in P5 and P6, Nick.
Magnificent qualifying for those guys. Not usual suspects, if you like, that you would expect up towards the front of the field, but that is truly fantastic what those two have just achieved there, especially for Juho Abe.
And then to round out your top 10, it is then Hugo Luis, Enzo Benito, Jeremy Bootloop and Mo Garfino. Good qualifying by the Radicals drivers. And of course, they normally come through the field, but Jeremy Bootloop starting inside the top 10. Expect potentially a top 5 from him. Moving on to page number 2. And then it's Alex Simpson who's leading the charge outside the top 10. Andre Borcher, difficult qualifying by him. Jake Sturgis, ditto for him as well. Antoine Hegelin, Isaac Price, Stephen Michaels, Paul Ilbrink, Ilka Hapana, Rizuki Izuzaki, and then Yunus Nakurian at your top 20. Another good qualifying there by Nakurian, looking to improve in the series. And as the rest of the qualifying comes up on your screen, you've got to talk about that one driver, Hugo Luis. And, you know, he had heartbreak a week ago at Montreal, basically losing the race due to, we're going to call it FIFA Internet, but he needed to get himself up the grid, and he was trying his hardest, but 7th place on the grid now. He's got to go all out as far as strategy is concerned.
He's got to gamble. This is a big, big gamble that's required now from him. And especially after what happened back in Montreal, this is going to be massive for him today. He's got to try and improve. And it looks like he hasn't got quite the confidence in the car. The way the rear of that car was moving around, even through Maggots, Beckett's and Chappell, the rear of that car was really loose and stepping out. So it's going to be a massive challenge for Hugo Luis to come back through.
So then, let's show you a couple of replays. We'll do this in just one moment's time. And we're going to show you, have a look at some of what happened here on the racetrack, and we're going to have a look at Alexei Yakola, shall we? Because, you know, he's a driver of the hour right now, and he had himself an absolute great qualifying here today. We'll get that up on your screen in just one moment's time. But, Nick, as far as everything is concerned in this event, now it's all to play for, because you've got those 2 Glacier Racing drivers out front, but Gregor Hutu is the king of the middle part of the race.
Yeah, Gregor Hutu, once again, will try and base his entire strategy around that mid-part of the stint. And if he can achieve it, once again, it'll be fantastic. But Glacier have really put a spanner in the works here. And if both those drivers can take it to Gregor Hutu early and almost rattle him a little bit, then, you know, we could be in for a special result today.
Yeah, so we're having a look now at part of the lap there of Alexei Yakola. In fact, let's go on board of him as he works himself. This is the second part of his lap. And it's points like this, the Abbey chicane that we were talking about, that Yakola was just so good at. And then through bridge, you've got to have so much commitment through him. We saw a lot of drivers almost get themselves sideways. They're using that escape road to really kind of maximize their entrance into that difficult infield section. But Yakola just looked so good on the wheel there. And you could tell, nice tight line through Luffield Corner. Alexei Yakola really got the job done here today.
He really did, and Yakola, the commitment he threw through there was just, it was right on the very, very edge as well. And I believe it's that final sector where he seemed to gain that advantage, because we saw Hutu was on a nice lap, but then it's just that final sector a little bit. And I think that's where Yakola may have just taken it.
Yeah, and some good driving by Yakola there in that number 26 car, and still plenty of action to see here today at Silverstone, looking high above it right now. But, of course, let's talk about this track just a little bit, because it is the classic Grand Prix venue. It always has been the classic Grand Prix venue, Nick, and over the years, these drivers have just loved coming to Silverstone. And, you know, with the wind conditions, you always get that little bit of crosswind through that Maggots-Beckett's complex. We saw a lot of drivers really struggling in Club Corner here today. But the corner names, they always roll off the tongue, you know, from Copse Corner, down Maggots-Beckett's, Stowe, then Club, then Abbey, then Bridge, the entire lap. You know, everything's got memories on it. And of course, it was the first ever Grand Prix World Championship race ever held in Formula One.
Yeah, very true. It has obviously it's changes throughout the years as well. It's obviously more corners, more to slow the cars down because there was some incredible speeds they were getting up to as well. And obviously we are on to another iteration of it from what we see here today as well. So it is a special track that is in the same area, but obviously with its adjustments. But Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel are often renowned as some of the greatest corners in the world. And the way you have to attack it and the commitment required, especially to get from Beckett's through Chapel, along Hanger and down to Stowe, that's a very crucial part of the lap because you want that exit from Beckett's and onto Chapel. And if you run too wide, you're going to compromise a lot of that sector. But most of all, it is that exit from Beckett's to get yourself a clean run out of there. And a lot of time, if you run it in the higher gear as well, it can help the traction through that corner.
And as far as the race goes, of course, one-stop strategies has been the order of the day all season long. We're expecting the same thing once again, but it always seems to be the later you pit, unlike in, traditional Formula 1 where the earlier you pit, you get the cut under. Here, the longer you pit, we've seen drivers being almost 2 seconds a lap faster if they are able to go a little bit longer in the race. And I think we're really expecting to see that here once again. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on Twitter at RaceSpotTV. Also use the hashtag iRacingWCS. And for those of you joining us, very quickly, we'll run through your top 10 once again. Alexei Usiakola for Glacier Racing on pole position. Qualifying time of 1 minute 20.110. Ollie Picala lining up alongside him on the front row of the grid. Now, one of the, I think, the interesting things to see is that Martin Cronkite in qualifying was almost a 1/10 of a second faster than Hugo Louise. Now, we did see at Canada, one of the 3ID Motorsports drivers almost working in partnership with Louise to kind of get a bit of a buffer. Do you think here today we might see a little bit of an Eddie Irvine 1997 at Suzuka? Cronkite deliberately going very heavy on fuel to try and bunch that pack up to help Hugo Louise try and get through that traffic in the early going.
We see, like you said, you've seen it before, but it's just a question of if he can utilize it early enough and do enough early on. It's going to be crucial. It's the start, for Luis, especially if he wants to try and do anything. That's going to be the critical area. It's all to do with if he can progress forwards early on, and also if those two out in front can almost buffer Hutu backwards to bring Luis forwards. That will be the crucial thing for Luis, and not in terms of today's race, but championship generally, maybe rattle Hutu a little bit as well. I don't think Hutu was quite expecting maybe those two Glacier cars to be on pole today, on first and second.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that we talked about at the end of our race last time. For the first time ever, just 7 days between iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series events. Normally, it's a 14-day cycle, and of course, after this, the drivers go on to their summer break. But 7 days, you'd expect the likes of 3ID Motorsports with their, high driver numbers to have been the guys really fighting for pole position. But the Glacier Racing unit, of course, this year, they have really come together. You've got Yakola, Picala, Alataulo, and also Alexei Aloma working alongside them in a development capacity, even though he doesn't race as much. It does seem to be that Glacier cohesiveness that we've seen all season long really has helped him out here in that short development time that we've had.
Yeah, I mean, Glacier, I don't know, if you look at almost like on a chart, it seems to go up and down, up and down, up and down. But again, there comes that mid-season point, and they're starting to really pick themselves back up. And you've seen Yakola come back in, and you've seen Picala do what he's doing here as well. So it's just a question of if what they have there for qualifying translates into the race, because we've often seen Hutu maybe not get onto pole position, but the race setup, and as you alluded to before there, Will, is that middle part. That middle part is crucial to him, but also to the other drivers. They really have to try and pick themselves up and through that. Tyres will be crucial, obviously, because it's a very, very high wear, high-speed corners, and it's a question of how deep into the race can they actually go. You'd have to believe and have to think that probably Hutu and Luis are the ones likely to go the latest in the race.
And as far as that championship picture goes as well, don't forget that Gregor Hutu, after that last event, was able to eke out a huge lead over Hugo Louise. It's 318 points right now For Gregor Hutu, it is 241 points for Hugo Louise. Martin Kroenke in that third place, 222 points. And then Jake Sturgis, 204 points. And the thing with Sturgis is I've seen this every single season of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. He's not, you know, fighting for victories. Of course, he has won in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com, not in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. But it seems to be every single race, Sturgis, regardless of where he qualifies, he's able to get himself a top 5 finish. And this is why, once again, he is classified 4th place in the championship standings right now.
Yeah, it's consistency for you. So it goes to show that it's there. It's almost like that final bit that's required. But I tell you what, he's doing a magnificent job, and slowly but surely just elevates him up. And you know, Sturgis, he's had a solid season, and it's just a case of if he can continue it and continue that upwards trend to almost break those final few tenths.
So we have got ourselves less than 10 minutes to go, well, 15 minutes to go until the next round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series comes your way. Of course, that will be exclusively live here on RaceSpotTV and also on iRacing Live as well. We'll join our viewers on iRacing Live in just 5 minutes' time. But as far as this race goes, do you think it is simply advantage Glacier? And do you think that Yakola and Picardo will deliberately try and do their different strategies to try and outsmart that 3-time champion that is Gregor Hutu?
Alternate strategy is a possibility. I think it's something that they would have to discuss and talk about and see if it is achievable. But I guess for those two drivers in particular, they are thinking team, and it's going to be the best possible outcome for the team to really help themselves. And I think they will try and optimize the strategies for as much as they can to help each other rather than worry what's going on behind them. You have to believe that Hutu will be challenging them anyway. It's just a question of if Luis can jump those two drivers that have had outstanding qualifying sessions to see if it's achievable to get to Hutu. Because if he gets to Hutu, we may see real scraps happening. And it may be the case if them two start squabbling, those two glaciers can almost run away.
So then let's have another look at Alexei Yakola. This was him on his pole run. We're on board with him as he works himself down into Luffield 1 and Luffield 2. Now, this section of the racetrack can be so difficult for drivers. Then you get on the gas, you work yourself through Woodcote. As we say, it's flat out. Use as much of the racetrack as possible. Then get yourself flat out, and that was the last bit there of Alexei Yakola's qualifying run. We will actually try and get you the full run of it. Unfortunately, we have got a little bit of technical difficulties right now. We are definitely going to try and get that one for you. Here we go. We believe that we will have it for you in just 1 moment's time. But Alexei Yakola, of course, has won a race so far this season. Oli Picardo has won a race so far this season. Gregor Hutu has won a race this season. The guy no one ever talks about is Martin Kroenke, the guy who runs in that 3rd place.
Yeah, Kroenke has been quite consistently up in and around the top 5 area, and he's a guy that just seems to quietly go about his business as well. It's not a lot's talked about him, not a lot said. Maybe you get your usual suspects at the front, and then a wild card, if you like, in the mid pack, where you think, "Wow, where's he come from?" And yet Kroenke just ticks over. He's a bit like, I think he's almost similar sort of vein as what Sturgis is. They tick over, they get the results, but you never really see anything of them. Not much is made of them. When in reality, there really should be. Very much so, because they're doing a fantastic and phenomenal job what they're achieving. And it's just a case, again, for Kroenke, such a Sturgis, just that extra little step.
Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we have tried. We have been unable to get ourselves the thing there with Alexei Yakola. We've got a little bit of the lap we are able to show you. This is him working himself through Club Corner in that Glacier Racing car, as we see already. And that part of the racetrack, you really got to hold that inside line through qualifying. In race pace though, Nick, it's going to be so much more difficult for these drivers, especially in traffic. This section of the racetrack, through Club and then through Abbey, very difficult for them.
Yeah, Club Abbey, and also it will be quite dependent on the weather as well. There's a bit of movement in the car, and obviously the fuel in. The movement, they will feel it. They will get the movement in the car. I think we actually saw it with Luis's lap. Flicked it in, and you could see that visually that there was more sort of movement through Abbey as well. So I think it's going to be very much a case of controlling the car and trying to do the best they possibly can. But it's going to be a huge challenge for them, and especially those early laps with the tyre temps.
So then, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to step aside for just a couple of moments' time, and then we will be back for what will be the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Thanks for sticking with us. Race coverage starts in just a couple of minutes' time.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 to Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's going to be the race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go. As you love it.
Here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Well, 1 week ago, it was Kazuki Omishima who tried so hard and got so far, but was just 3 laps away from winning his first iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series race. Today, we are in Silverstone, United Kingdom, where Gregor Hutu is looking to make it 5 wins in a row in the series. He's got a lot of competition though, because you've got yourself the Glacier Racing dynamic duo of Alexei Yusiakola and Oli Picales starting on the front row of the grid. Today, it was Gregor Hutu who'll be starting in 3rd. Hugo Luis has had a difficult part of the season. 4 races in a row he had issues on pit road, including last time out in Canada where he dropped 1 lap down due to a timing and scoring issue. Today he starts outside the top 5, looking to try and get himself to victory from 7th place on the racetrack. For him though, it's going to be a very difficult journey on a race he really could do with winning. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Will Vincent and Nick Ronan here for the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series from historic Silverstone. Track measures 3.138 miles in length, has 17 corners, and Nick, when you think about British Grand Prix racing, you think about one place and one place only. The track we're at today, Silverstone.
A special place on any calendar, but especially for British motorsport. It's an incredible place, an incredible venue, and one that these drivers will absolutely relish. The high-speed corners through Maggots and Beckett's, the infamous Stowe corner, Copse corner, Luffield Woodcut. It's a fantastic track.
Of course, myself and Nick Ronan will be providing you coverage of the entire race here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on Twitter at RaceSpotTV and at also hashtag iRacingWCS throughout the course of this event. Nick, there is so much to talk about, and of course that important one is, can Hutu make it 5 in a row?
It's very possible. It's very, very possible. Seeing as he's qualified, it's a healthy qualifying 3rd place. It's Glacier have actually got those first 2 slots, but definitely a chance for Gregor Hutu to make it 5 in a row. His main protagonist, Hugo Luis, is a little bit further down though, Will.
He really is starting in that 7th place on the racetrack. Ladies and gentlemen, for more information about the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, head over to wcs.iracing.com. News, information, driver interviews, wcs.iracing.com. We're going to run through your starting grid, and you see it is Alexei Usiakoda who is starting on that pole position with Oli Picard alongside him. Gregor Hutu in 3rd, Martin Kroenke in 4th, Juhu Abe and Rocco Baroni, they round out your 3rd row on the grid. But Nick, as we go through, important things to notice: Hugo Luis starting on that 4th row of the grid, good qualifying by the Radical Steel Series team, and also Jake Sturgis out of place as well.
Yeah, Sturgis down there. Radicals having a great qualifying session. We've also often seen they've been very strong in races, but now they've got qualifying nearly sorted as well. So a possibility for Bootsy to move himself forwards and maybe even challenge the top 5. But qualifying certainly has gone the way of Juho Abe and Rocco Barone in terms of Hugo Luis anyway, to be 5th and 6th. Martin Kroenke having a bit of a storm, but Jake Sturgis is probably the one that's most disappointed, down in 13th place.
Indeed, so as the rest of the grid comes up on your screen, you see a couple of drivers a little bit outplaced at the rear. Robin Friskups, for example, for Inex Racing. Riku Adatalo in that 29th position for Glacier Racing. And Martin Patila, a difficult day for him as well. 33 drivers are making that trip to the Silverstone circuit here today. Timo Evening starting at the rear of the field. Before we go any further, we're going to step aside for just one moment, and we are going to bring you the playing of the national anthem of the United Kingdom. This is God Save the Queen. So then, Nick, we are about 3 minutes away from the green flag here at Silverstone. What are these drivers thinking of right now?
Well, most of them out on track just trying to sort themselves out and warm up. They're probably all readapting and readjusting to the higher fuel loads. Gregor Hutu out on track at the moment as well. Actually just had a huge oversteer moment in the same part of Club Corner as what Hugo Luis did during the qualifying session. So it looks like that part of track is still very, very challenging for these guys. But after hearing the national anthem, they'll be pretty much set to go. And at 11 o'clock tonight, I will also be hearing that anthem once again.
Indeed so, and what a great day of sport we have. Of course, the World Cup in Brazil. We've got ourselves Le Mans 24 hours taking place right now. In itself, a great battle between Germany and Japan in bragging rights in the LMP1 class. But of course, here is all about one country and one country only, Finland, taking the top 3 places on the grid. Getting close to the end of practice right now. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, after today's race, we're going to head off for our summer break. And then we'll be back with the 10th round of the championship at Twin Wind Motegi. That'll be live from 1:30 PM GMT here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live the 19th of July 2014. So if you're wondering where we are over the next couple of weeks, time for our summer break, as Nick, we get to all enjoy the World Cup before we come back to the World Cup of iRacing, that is the World Championship Grand Prix Series.
Most definitely. A well-deserved break, and especially after some of these guys have been going really at it for a long period of time, they'll probably deserve it, and hopefully they will enjoy the World Cup as much as I already have and already will be. I will say now, unlucky Spain, and as for tonight, I love England, but Italy is still favourites for me.
I agree, so, and of course there's so much anticipation about the World Cup, but there's so much anticipation, of course, about the Le Mans 24 hours going on right now, and of course, about who's going to get the job done here in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. You see the drivers are now starting to head to the grid. There's your grid up on the screen once again. I haven't asked you yet, Nick, who's your winner for today?
Pecala! Come on, finally. I've said so many times Ollie Pecala will win a damn race. Today is that day. Ollie Pecala, second place on the grid.
Well, it is going to be a fascinating race. You can see here the cars are just starting to line up at the rear of the field. But this is going to be a really good race here today. You can see there Ollie Pecala at the front of the field, but his teammate, it is going to be Alexei Usiakola, who will be starting alongside him in that #1 car. Who is going to get the job done here today? You're saying Pecala. I'm going to say it's going to be 5 in a row for that guy, Gregor Hutu, in the 3rd place. You see the lights about to go on top of the iRacing.com gantry as we are getting set to go racing. Ladies and gentlemen, the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series starts right now. A really good start there by Alexei Usiakola. But you see already Gregor Hutu trying to go side by side with Ollie Pecala as they work themselves down into turn #1 for the first time. But it's Pecala who's just able to stay out front of him. Yakola leads away. Booterloop is out in the early going, however, we'll get back to him in just a couple of moments' time. But Yakola is leading the way as they all come through Luffield. So Beckett for the first time and head themselves now down towards that hangar straightaway. And Yakola has got about 4 car length advantage. We've got a car turned around at the rear of the field as well. That is Polio Mulia there in the number 48 car, the team on Prix Racing. He's spun around, but out front it's all about Alexei Usiakola, Nick.
Yeah, Yakola with a great start, but I tell you who else got a great start as well. Rocco Barone, he's in 4th place, and he had a great slip off Gregor Hutu there, as so we're going down hanging towards slow corner. He's falling back a little bit now, and Hutu's closing Ollie Pecala, but what a start that's been for Rocco Barone.
Indeed so. As it is right now, it's Yakola from Pecala, from Hutu, then it's Rocco Barone. Martin Cronke rounds out your top 5. For that number 28 Glacier Racing driver, however, already he is pulling out a pretty substantial lead. And he is really looking forward to getting a good race here today. And this is what I was saying at the very go. It could be one of those split strategies. Looking from the rear of Alexei Usiakola, it's already about a 12 car length advantage he has here.
Yeah, that's a massive advantage already for Yakola. And Hutu's not made any sort of real impression on Pecala. So you would think at this very, very early stage, fuel dependent that Hutu and Pecala on similar strategies. Barone, a little bit of an unknown, he's quick, and he is getting closer to Hutu as well, so he may be on an alternate strategy. But look at the lead Yakola's got, incredible.
Yep, you see it right there, and it is already a big lead. It's 1.7 seconds, 1.8 seconds a gap right now between himself and Ollie Pecala. Oh, and he goes off! Alexei Usiakola goes off on the racetrack there. And that is not going to be what he wants. That has brought that gap back down already to just a couple of seconds on the racetrack. We'll get ourselves a replay of this up on your screen immediately. On board right now with Alexei Usiakola. Let's see what happens to him, because that was a big moment there on the exit of Stowe Corner. And he just gets loose.
Just a little bit loose. He's pushing on. You can tell that Yusi is trying his absolute hardest in these early stages, and he's still going for it now. But yeah, that just what he got there. A little bit of oversteer, a little bit of twitch. Put him out onto the grass. Recovered it well, but it's close Picard and Hutu up. But now is he coming through the final couple of corners through left field and Woodcut? It goes to show he's still on it. He's still pushing really, really hard. Is Yusi Where is Picard? How far behind is he now? 1.2 seconds behind, so he's still pushing on Yakola.
He is, and you see Ticker there running across the top of your screen. It is Yakola from Picard. It is 1.2 seconds at the line. Hutu is in third, but Baroni's still putting the pressure on in that fourth position. To give you an update on Hugo Luis, he right now is scored running, get this, in the 7th place. He hasn't made up a single place since the start of this race, Nick.
But check out the guy behind him. Look who's behind him, Jake Sturgios.
Wow.
He was in 13th place. Sturgis was in 13th, he's up to 8th, and I'm not going to lie here, he's going to chance Luis. Sturgis may be on an alternate strategy here, and he's carved his way through the field beautifully. He's all over the back of Hugo Luis already.
Yeah, and a little bit of looseness there through club corner for Hugo Luis as we ride on board with that iNEXT Racing driver. Yeah.
Same probably qualifying, same corner as well. He's really struggling through that section of track, through Vale.
So now looking at Jake Sturgis trying to close down which is Hugo Luis. And you see there's a bit of a train as well. It's not Yuhu Abe, actually, and that running racing driver who right now is scored in that 6th place on the racetrack. The gap with Yakola and Picardo, by the way, is up now to almost 2 seconds on the racetrack. And Picardo's got himself a second gap over Gregor Hutu right now. So the Glacier Racing guys are pulling away. They just need to make sure they don't make any mistakes like they did in the early going of this race. To give you an update, we've got 2 drivers out of the race, Jeremy Bootluk and Matthias Egger as it stands right now. But Hugo Luis has got to get going, although he could be incredibly heavy on fuel. He's just hoping that he's not going to be held up too much behind Yuhu Abe, who right now runs in that 6th position on the racetrack.
Definitely, Luis is closed in on Yuhu Abe again. It's out to 1.9 from UC Code to Pacala, with a second further back for Gregor Hutu. But Luis has got to do something about Yuhu Abe early on because Cronke has broken away and up to Barone.
Yeah, working themselves down into Stowe Corner. You see, just heard it there on your sound. It was just a little bit of a mid-corner gas to get that car turning around. Hugh Abe's car isn't working the way he wants it to right now. And we have seen this all season long, that sometimes drivers just fill themselves to the absolute brim to try and get themselves longer in the early going. But I'm having a look at the timing and scoring at the moment. Already, it's about 7-8 seconds that Luis is behind your race leader, Alexei Yusiakola. Luis needs to get going, and he needs to get going very soon, because already, even if he needs to go 3 laps longer, he's not got any advantage of those guys ahead of him.
Abe's doing a great job there, because even Jake Sturgis can't navigate his way around Hugo Luis, and Sturgis looks like the quickest car out of the 3 at the moment. So he may be on the lighter fuel load, or he's just got a lot of confidence on high fuel. But nevertheless, Hugo Abe is starting to create a little bit of a train, and Luis just can't do anything. He cannot get close enough on the exit onto the straights, and that's the critical part that's required. Jake Sturgis is pushing on nicely as well, but again, same issue. Can't get close enough to him, to Hugo Luis. Out in front, Cronke has closed a little bit on Barone. Barone is not that far behind Hutu, and if I'm honest with you, Pacala has pulled away from Hutu, and he's not that far behind UC Yakola.
He's not.
And I think Yakola may have had another moment.
Just having a look to see whether he has, and it doesn't look as though he has had enough. It just looks like he's a little bit slower as it stands right now. So we'll get confirmation of that in just one moment's time. You see the standings there up on the side of your screen. But this is how it looks out front. Yakola is there, and then you see Picana, and then you see Gregor Hutu there just in the background with Cronke. He's fallen back already. Of course, he's got Rocco Baroni ahead of him right now, who scored in that 4th position on the racetrack. But Yakola, the gap is about 1.2 seconds on the racetrack as he tries to pull away from that guy right there, Oli Picard on your screen, who in turn trying to pull away from that guy right there, Gregor Hutu. They are your top 3 on the racetrack. But those Glacier Racing guys haven't pulled away dramatically. We saw this at Road America. There's some guys can pull away, but then after about 7-8 laps, the field starts coming back together again.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, Yakola definitely had a slow lap. It was a 24.0, where Pacala did a 22.8, so it was a slower lap there for Yakola, and Pacala has been able to close in a little bit. Let's just have a look at the lap time for Gregor Hutu. That was a 22.9, so it's only a 10th off what Pacala's done. So Pacala and Hutu are running relatively similar pace. Barone 22.9 also. So I think Barone is having a very solid race at the moment. Cronke 23.3. So he's running a little bit slower. Yuho Abe 23.8, 23.5 for Jake Sturgios. And what's just happened to Hugo Luis?
We'll get confirmation of that in one moment.
Oh! I think Jake has hit Hugo.
Wow. We'll get confirmation of this in just one moment's time. We believe this could be where Yakola might have had his issues. We're just trying to get confirmation of that. But he was very slow at this portion of the racetrack. Doesn't seem to be anything on our screen, but he did have an off track, which is why it came to our attention. We'll get an issue though. Let's have a look, see what happened with Hugo Luis in one moment's time. We're having a look at him right now on your screens, but Hugo Luis is now falling down into the 9th place on the racetrack. Get that?
Yeah, he's definitely had a bit of an incident. I'm just going to see if I can find it now and see if there has been any contact. Oh, there was. Oh, he's touched him. Oh, he's touched him going through Beckett's.
Oh.
Through the Beckett's corner onto Chapel. Jake Sturgis has gone tried to go to the inside. This is a high speed, remember, a high speed corner. He tried to go right on the inside and hit him.
Yeah, we saw that. We've got a replay up on your screen. We'll get another one up. And you see Hugo Luis had to pretty much cut the entire section of that racetrack. Here's another replay from behind. Get a good angle of it here. This is as they're working through Maggot. Now down into Beckett on the racetrack. And you see he went wide. Then he touched Jake Sturgios. He had to go off. And that put him down 2 positions. For a guy who's having to fight for his life for a championship right now, that is the last thing.
Oh, there's a move going on for Jake Sturgios. Sturgios just took a big lunge at Yuho Abe and couldn't get the job done into Vale. He's got a good exit though. He might get something done up towards Abbey Corner. I don't think he'll get close enough though just yet.
No, but Sturgios is on a move. He's going to try and look down to the inside. He will go down to the inside. They'll be side by side right now as they work themselves. But Jake Sturgios was not able there to get the job done. They will fall back inside. Oh my, what a pass this could be for Sturgios. He couldn't get the job done. They're side by side. Now Sturgios is able to get the job done. And that pass was set up through Bridge Corner. You do not go too wide through Bridge.
You don't, and that really was great from Jake Sturgios. That truly was awesome. Just looking back at the instant, though, Hugo Luis did run wide, and I think momentum from Jake Sturgios has taken him into the corner and almost carried too much speed, and he's always been startled by the fact that Hugo Luis has run wide and then tried to cut back across. So there may be something said by the race directors, but that was very unlucky for Jake because he was taking the usual line. Luis was wide and trying to cut back across. So Jake, he might, that was a little bit of a shaky move, but I tell you what, he's on a mission now. He's past Yuho Abe. Let's see how quickly he can get up to Martin Cronke.
Yeah, we just saw the pass there on your screen. And of course, you see the 2-wide racing that was going on behind him. Jake Sturgios able to get himself up on the racetrack. And he is having an interesting race, to say the very least. But as it stands right now, it is this guy, Alexei Yakola, who still leads in that number 26 car. And he has now pulled away to a 3.5-second advantage over Ollie Pacala. So all of a sudden, Yakola seems to have got himself into a groove, Nick.
Yeah, he's into a groove now. He's got that mistake out of his system. And Pacala and Hutu, let's just have a quick look. They're lapping identically, 22.7 for the pair of them. But Yakola, 21.9 last time round. He's just crossed the line again, 21.8. He is flying at the moment, 22.5 for Pacala, 22.6 for Gregor Hutu. Rocco Baroni does a 22.7, so he's going along nice as well. I tell you what, Baroni, he's really not that far behind Hutu.
He really isn't, and just check in on Rocco Baroni in that number 28 car. The gap right now between those two, Hutu and Baroni, well, it's about, get this, 1.1 seconds on the racetrack. You see it there on your screen.
Oh, what's up with Abe?
Oh, yeah, Abe's falling down the field. He is out of the race by the look of it.
It's a disconnection.
Ah, Yuhu Abe is out of the race, and disappointing for the guy who, again, had a very good qualifying here today.
I think it was a disconnection anyway, but he's definitely out. That's massive disappointment for Yuhu Abe after that wonderful qualifying session, and now out the race. I know he was side by side with Jake Sturgios. There appeared to be no contact between the pair of them, but yeah, Yuhu Abe there, unfortunately, is out of the race.
Wow. It's not going the way of the running racing team, of course. Last time out was Kazuki Omishima, who smashed into the wall of champions with just a couple of laps to go. Now, Yuhu Abe's got some difficulties. I'm just going to check back for the field. You've got Alex Simpson, Yunus Nakurian. They are battling right now for 14th position on the racetrack. Those two guys are separated by just half a second, and Nakurian, young Nuris Nakurian, is doing a great job right now in that Radical Steel Series car.
Yeah, fantastic job, and he was right then towards the back of the field as well, so he's cutting his way through very nicely. As we go through for another lap for the guys towards the front of the field as well. 22.5 that time round for Gregor Hutu, 22.3 for Ollie Pacala, 21.6 for UC Yakola.
Wow.
Flying along. Pacala's done a great time going 22.3, 22.5 like I said for Hutu, 22.7 for Barone, 22.6 for Martin Cronke. Cronke's bringing himself up towards Barone now. And let's have a look at Jake Sturgis, 22.4, so he's got some good pace in that car. And Andre Borcher. Borcher's not that far back from Sturgis and bring him along nicely as Luis Sills tries to hunt down Borcher in 8th place currently for Luis.
We talked about Sturgis being on the move a little bit earlier on, and I think we now know the reason why. And I think Sturgis is on a strategy where he knew he had to get going.
Will, sorry, we've got a move going on. Enzo Benito on Isaac Price here on the inside of Vale corner. He's gone side by side with him. Out of club corner, look at the power difference. Look at the confidence. He's got it. Oh, he's run wide though. He might have to get that position back because he ran off the track to complete it. So that was a little bit shaky there from Enzo Benito, but he got the job done eventually. But was he completely clear of Isaac prior to it? That's the question. Enzo Benito though goes up into 10th place with Mogar Philo just in front.
Replay up on your screen of that pass. Benito running very wide there. He'll get away with that one. He did cut back across. That was very close to being a big crash between those drivers. And you see then immediately, I believe that was Stephen Michaels who was putting the pressure there on Isaac Price afterwards. So those guys are running very closely on the racetrack right now. And a great battle to see with these guys for the time being. And as they work themselves out, let's have a look at Michaels actually, because he's right on the rear now of Isaac Price as they work themselves through that section again. But Robin Friscott, what a drive he is having right now, also in that number 37 car, Nick.
Yeah, he's a magnificent job as well at the moment, and he's going along pretty well actually. Look at that 13th place. It's not far from Stephen Michaels. So these guys, the guys you would expect maybe in the lower half, are really fighting that those midfield positions, and doing a great job of it as well. Out in front, times haven't really changed either. For Jake Sturgis, it's 22.3. He was the fastest of the front-running guys, other than Alexei Yakola. Oli Pacala did a 22.4 to Hutu's 22.6. If those two are on similar strategies, I'd say Pacala currently has a 2/10 advantage per lap over Gregor Hutu. And Rocco Barone, look at that, 22.5. He's not far behind Hutu at all. Not too sure if Hutu's struggling a little bit. I've seen him run right out over to the sand parts on the exit of the curbs as well. And that might be, and he might have a little bit of understeering there, but that could also mean the higher fuel load.
Yeah, and you're seeing the fastest laps up on your screen at the moment. Now, Yakola is clearly the fastest guy on the racetrack. And I think therefore that Glacier Racing driver here, you see working himself down into Stowe Corner once again. He is really going to be hoping that he can pull away. Because as said at the top of this broadcast, Nick, they might split their strategies. And I think that is what's going on with these two Glacier Racing drivers right now.
I tend to agree with you. I didn't think they would do it dependent on Gregor Hutu, but I think this is definitely a split strategy. And you see Yakola, my God, 21.4 now. It compares to the time, oh, let's just see, what did he do last time round? I can't find him now. He seems to have disappeared, Pacala, for me.
Last time by, it was a 1 minute 22.2.
22.2, yes. Apologies for that. I seem to have a bit of lag and lost Pacala for a moment there, but 22.2. And that shapes up against a 22.4 for Hutu. Again, 2/10. And again, running wide. Look at that. Again, through Brooklands. A little bit wider for Hutu than what it is for Pacala. His car is much more straighter.
He's all over the place.
Hutu, he's running very, very wide on corners. Again, that's quite wide, really, out of Lovefield into Woodcote Corner. A bit wider than usual. 22.1 that time round, though. That's a good time. 22.0 there from Pacala.
And a 21.3. Wow, Yakola is really flying now.
He's checking out at the moment.
Yeah, gap is up to 6.8 seconds on the racetrack, riding on board of Gregor Hutu. So close to putting it off the racetrack there. I think he's trying with all of his worth. The gap between himself and Oli Picard is 2.5 seconds on the racetrack. Down into Stowe Corner he goes. Let's see if we can get a good run out of here this time by using a lot of that curb and a little bit more. This is your 3-time champion, of course, in that #1 Team Redline car. Now, this is that critical part of the sector right here. We saw Hugo Luis lose his qualifying. The confidence in getting on the power, I'm not going to lie to you, I think that Benito through that corner is better than his teammate right now.
Yeah, definitely. Enzo Benito, he's having a good run. I think Gregor Hutu is definitely struggling something there, and it does look like that understeer issue he seems to be experiencing. Oli Picard, though, on a 22.0. Again, look, Hutu runs wide. He really is struggling going out into that. He's obviously making it work for himself, but it's not as clean as what the Glacier boys are doing at the moment. And the Glacier cars are running much more sweeter than what Gregor Hutu is able to at the moment. They're coming across the line again. Oli Picard does a 22.1, slightly slow that time round, matched. Oh no, Hutu did a 22.0 then as well, so a bit of a difference that time. Yeah, faster by a tenth, so it's not been much. But Hutu's obviously still making it work for him, but there's definitely more understeer in that in Hutu's car than there is against Picala's.
Yeah, I'm going to check in very quickly on Martin Kroenke, and he's running right now in that 5th position, and he's kind of into no man's land. It's 1.2 the gap between himself and Rocco Baroni ahead of him, and then he's got, what, a 6-second advantage over Jake Sturgis. Martin Kroenke, again, in no man's land.
Faster, though.
He is.
He's lapping faster, 21.9 for Sturgis compared to 22.2 for Kroenke.
Wow. And we see now, here we see Jake Sturgis just coming through Stowe Corner, and that run down into Club, that #4 iNext Racing car. And he's running well, but for Sturgis, of course, after you consider his qualifying position, where he started 13th, running 6th, he's up 7 places already, our biggest mover so far through the field.
What a start that must have been as well. I'd love to try and get a replay of that one, but Jake Sturgis flew through and got himself into 6th position. He's stayed in 6th position. He's edging closer and closer to Martin Kroenke. Not spectacularly at the moment, but he's getting closer and closer to him as Rocco Barone is still hanging on to Hutu. He really is hanging on to Hutu nicely. Picard does 21.8. Hutu does a 22.0, so there you go. There's a 10th gained back and a 10th put on Hutu then as well.
Couple of battles to talk about. We've got this one you see on your screen, Eunice Mercurian still battling with Alex Simpson, but then you've got this one, and this is turning out to be a great battle already. This is between Mogar Filo in 9th and then Enzo Benito in 10th place. The gap between these drivers, well, that is just, get this, 0.3 of a second on the racetrack, and Benito is trying to make something of his season right now because he's not had the season he would have wanted.
Not at all, and he is closing in on Mogar Filo. Those guys seem to have dropped back, and Hugo Luis might have a run. He has got a run, actually, on Andre Borcha. Going up towards Stowe Corner, up the inside goes Hugo Luis, and into 7th place. A great move there. Borcha doesn't really attempt to defend there. Goes up the inside. Oh, look at the oversteer, though, he experiences on exit. That may be some of the damage from earlier from Jake Sturgis. But yeah, up into 7th place goes Hugo Luis, and Borcha drops backwards.
Yeah, and don't forget, those two are teammates, and therefore there wouldn't have been too much of an issue. This is a great battle we see on our racetrack, though, between Mogar Filo and Enzo Benito in what is essentially the battle, as to say, for 9th place on the racetrack. Now, Benito's had a difficult season so far. He had some issues all the way back in Belgium. He's had some good races, some not so good races. But the number 17 Team Redline car is looking to try and get himself some consistency as we get towards our summer break. And for Benito, stuck behind Mogar Filo right now, he's been struggling to find a way past.
Yeah, look how close he is to him, though, going through Woodcut Corner, or going up to Woodcut Corner. He's close to him, but he just can't get the job done at the moment. Trying to find each way he can at the moment to get by him. He'll go through turn 1, and I don't think he'll be close enough going through Copse Corner. He's not. Tight line there for Enzo Benito as well. Trying to make it as clean as he possibly can coming through Beckett's corner. But that dirty air effect, I just don't think Enzo Benito can get quite close enough. He needs a good exit out of Beckett into Chapel. He's not really got it, and I think he's a bit too far back still.
Yeah, we're looking from the rear of Mogar Filo, and the gap, you say, still 0.3 of a second. Mogar holds on for another lap on the racetrack, so that one's not going to change very soon. Let's run through your top 10 as it stands, however, because it is now Alexei Usiakola leading by almost 9 seconds over Oli Picard. Then behind you've got Gregor Hutu, 11 seconds behind the race leader. Rocco Barone, 13 seconds behind the race leader. And then it's Martin Kroenke who rounds out your top 5. Get this though, already 25 seconds behind is Hugo Luis in that 7th place on the racetrack. Astonishing stuff.
Incredible pace. It really is awesome at the moment for these guys. Sorry, Enzo Benito and Mogar Filo again, so close as you can't get it done. They cannot get it done. Enzo Benito is trying each way he can do, and can't get by him. He is trying, really trying.
This could be an opportunity though. As we come out towards Cops Corner, we have seen some passes here before in this series. These two are so mightily close together as they work themselves back down into turn one. That is the guy out front, Mogar Filo. Behind, it's Enzo Benito. They are battling for 9th position on the racetrack. This is our closest battle on the racetrack right now. And for Enzo Benito, he has got to get a good run out of this section of the racetrack. As they come out of Beckett onto Chapel once again, he just seems to be in that dirty air. He just can't get close enough through Chapel. He is better, but you see already Mogar just defending the draft, nowhere near close enough there as they come down into Stowe.
No, it was much better for Enzo Benito, but he still just wasn't close enough to Mogar Filo here. But nevertheless, he's just doing a great job as Mogar Filo, positioning his car exactly where he needs to. Benito is getting cleaner runs out the corner, but Filo just putting the car where it needs to be.
Let's have a look outside the top. Well, outside the top 20, because you've got David Corpse right now running in that 20th position. But you see 2 cars behind him. That is Antoine Hegelin, who's running in the 21st position, and then Riku Adatalo, who's running in the 23rd place right now. But a weaving actually going on there from Antoine Hegelin, trying to find the draft, then trying to defend from behind at the same time. You see, it's just 3 tenths per second between the Corpse and Hegelin, and then it is another 4 tenths per second between Hegelin and Alatalo. These guys are very closely separated on the racetrack right now.
Very close, and so are Enzo Benito and Mogar Filo still, and Enzo got very close coming through Luffield and Woodcote Corner, but again he's still stuck behind him. He needs that run, that tighter line coming out of Beckett into Chapel. I don't think he's got it again. Too much curb, no, not enough.
Yep, working themselves down the run down the hangar straight away down towards Stowe. And what I'm actually seeing in the background there is Isaac Price is not out of the picture yet. And he's kind of sticking with, and I've got a feeling that Mogar Filo, because he's a little bit slower right now, is allowing Price to catch up. And that last time by, Price was pretty much exactly the same lap time as Filo and Benito ahead of him. And again, a good run through Club Corner there for Enzo Benito. He can't do anything with it though.
No, just can't get the job done. He cannot get close enough to him. That's straight line advantage. Oh, wow, that was close.
Almost running into the rear of him there, Enzo Benito. And you see, that gives a bit of an advantage of about a second there. Enzo Benito lost by having to get on the brakes hard into the Abbey chicane. And what this would have done is it would have actually allowed the guy behind. You see, yeah, Isaac Price is now right there with Enzo Benito.
Yeah, Isaac Price is going to try and capitalise now. And Stephen Michaels is not that far back either. Actually, they've got a little bit of a group going on with Michaels there, Isaac Price there, Enzo Benito, and Mogar Filo. And how far down the road is Andre Borcher? Only about 3 seconds further down the roads, as Hugo Luis has cleared him and is trying to close in on Jake Sturgios. Sturgios is quite a way back from Martin Cronke for about 5 seconds. But Rocco Baroni, the man at the moment, he's keeping Gregor Hutu very honest. Only 2 seconds behind. Pacala out to 10 seconds behind UC Yakola. Yakola is just flying. 20.8 last time round. 21.6 for Pacala. 21.7 for Hutu. 21.7 for Barone.
Yeah, and I'm just having a look. It is the fastest lap of the race was set there by Alexei UC Yakola as he comes out of Woodcote past the start-finish line again. Let's see what lap time he's going to do this time by. It is going to be a 21.0, so a little bit slower that time by for Yakola. But after his mishap at the start of the race, he's been able to get himself now up to 11.5 second advantage over Picard. And that in itself is an achievement in this series, having an early lead of that much. This is going to be the case now. Can he maintain it? And if he's on an earlier strategy, has he done enough to really get himself back into the picture?
Well, possibly so. We have to still wait and see when he does decide to pit. But Ollie Pacala at the moment, he's the man that's doing a great job in second place and keeping Gregor Hutu well away from him, about 3 seconds as well. Whereas Rocco Baroni is only 2 seconds behind Hutu. They're all spread out a little bit. Martin Cronke a further 2 seconds back. 5 back to Sturgios. Sturgios still doing good lap times, better than Cronke's, but not close enough at the moment.
Right then, let's get ourselves a look at the start of this race a little bit earlier on. And you see, the lights went out And it was a very good start by Alexei Yusiakola out front. We'll get ourselves a couple of replays of this. You see them here on the start grid. But Yakola was the one who got himself the better start. But keep an eye out, actually, on the guy in the 3rd place, Gregor Hutu. He's going to get himself an incredible launch from that 3rd place. He gets himself alongside. They're actually 3 wide behind him as they run down into that 1st corner for the first time. But then they sort themselves out. Hutu could have done it on the inside. But then the guy actually we really need to pay attention to was that driver who we talked about a little bit earlier on, Jake Sturgis. What a great start by him.
He's doing a fantastic job, and he's closing in on Kroenke, but just not enough yet. But he has definitely got closer to him, as I think we just saw another phenomenal time there. Yeah, 20.7 from Yakola, going on very nicely, 11.8 seconds in front. So yeah, Yakola's time is incredible. Jake Sturgis is still going a little bit quicker than Kroenke, so it's closing the gap, but it's very, very minimal each time by.
And we'll look at the start from onboard Jake Sturgis. You see the train of cars ahead of him. That was a very good first couple of corners. He needs to get himself 1 or 2 positions, really using the curb set at the start of this event. I tell you what though, one driver who I really am looking forward to see this start for is Gregor Hutu, because he had a great launch off the line. You see on the left of your picture, he gets to an amazing start, being able to put the power down, and then he gets side by side actually with that driver of Oli Picara, but then tries to just be a little bit conservative there, wasn't able to really dive that car in, and then you see the train of cars behind him as they all storm down into Beckett's Maggots for the first time. Good start there by Hutu, because he hasn't had the best of starts this season.
No, definitely hasn't, but that really was a solid start for him there, and he's done a great job, and he nearly did slot into 2nd place. I think because of the wider runoff there for Picara, he knew he could keep his foot in it though, and keep that position.
Ricky Radichello's lost himself a couple of positions on the racetrack. He is now scoring the 23rd place on the racetrack, trying to re-chase down Marty Patilla, who you see there on your screen. And he's one of those drivers there. It does seem to be that overall the Veracity of Free ID Motorsports guys have had a tough weekend so far.
Yeah, just generally speaking, it's been a bit of a tough one all round for them, but hopefully going to try and get it together now after falling back through the fields. Nevertheless, the guys towards the front, they're trying to. I've just noticed that some of the times they're trying to push on and get close to Yusiakola, but they just can't get it done. Yusiakola has just done a massive time again on a 20.7, 21.5 for Picara, and 21.4 for Hutu, but. Yeah, I mean, if they're going to try and close that gap down, I guess they're going to have to start doing it soon, because we're getting closer and closer to that midpoint of the race, and it would still suggest that Picara is on a one-stop. Yusiakola's on a one-stopper.
But it doesn't really matter if they're on a one-stopper or not. Again, as we said before, as you see, there is Yakola just working himself out of Cop's corner. That run now down through Maggot and Beckett. It's not the one stopper that's a big thing in this race, it's when you start, because 38 laps remaining in this event, and if you come onto pit road 4 laps earlier, we've seen what that means. That's 10 seconds that you've got to have a gap on. 10 seconds though, he's got a 13.6 second gap right now, it's only Picara behind him. This is going to take some miracle, I think, for Hutu or Picara to take this victory away from Alexei.
Well, definitely at the moment, and the pace he's going at is just phenomenal. And whenever he does decide to pit, he's basically going to have to come out and do times that are comparable to what those guys are doing now to make sure he holds that advantage. Because Picara and Hutu, I guess, when they decide to pit, will start to close that gap down, and that advantage will come down to Yusiakola, but it's going to be difficult for them. I guess also, when they come out of pit lane, if Yusiakola is on a shorter strategy, Yusiakola's tyres will be up to temperature and he'll be running quicker times earlier on.
Let's have a look at that guy in the second position, Oli Picara. There you see him working himself through the back end of the racetrack. Now, Picara himself has done a good job. A 4-second gap over Gregor Hutu, you see, is right about there on your screen. But Hutu, he doesn't seem to be overdriving it anymore like he was earlier on.
No, he seems to be a little bit calmer and a little bit more composed. I'm just wondering if he has initial understeer in those early laps, copes with it, and then just annihilates the next few laps then. 21.4 that time around. Oh, Yakola's in!
Oh, look at this!
You missed that one. Yeah, Yusiakola's into pit lane on lap 24.
So is this a two-stop strategy, or is this Yakoda actually going on a very long second stop? You see there he is coming out of pit road. Alexei Yakoda, we didn't expect anyone on pit road this early. This could still be a two-stop race for him.
Yeah, definitely. This could be a two-stopper for sure. On 24, well, blimey, that's unexpected. That's really neither here nor there, because that's going to be an interesting two-stopper. But this is going to be a very, very long run to the end of it is. It's about 6 short of what it is to the mid part of the race. So, the question is now, what can Yakoda do to get back up to speed? But it's an advantage Pacala now, I'd say.
Yeah, and I don't think that he's actually taken enough fuel. You see there, pit stop time was 9.8 seconds there for Alexei Yakoda. I don't think that's enough for him to be able to get this done without pitting again.
With the amount of lap, no, you're probably right there. That doesn't seem a long enough pit stop. So it's a case of now when Pacala decides to pit and how far into the race he can go. But I would say it's advantage Ollie Pacala at the moment, especially that advantage over Hutu. Now let's see what Ollie Pacala does on that time round. 21.2 to Hutu's 21.1. So nothing between them still.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful shot you see there. Just the sweeping curves of Maggots and Beckett's are now down into Chapel. And then finally you can straighten that car out on that run down into Stowe Corner. Underneath the bridge you go, Vumph! Underneath the Silverstone Bridge, and then you're down into Stowe Corner. Ollie Pacala, ladies and gentlemen, is your new race leader in that number 27 Glacier Racing car. And with a 3.7 second advantage right now over Gregor Hutu. Again, that's a 2-lap cushion if they came onto pit roads in similar times. That's 2 laps, I think, that Ollie Pacala can go earlier before he's really in trouble. You could do with an extra second and a half cushion, however.
Yeah, you could do with probably, yeah, like you said, probably another second. But Ollie Pacala, at the moment, he would have, like you said, maybe a lap or two's advantage. But you'd have to hope and pray that then Hutu does pit. Otherwise, Hutu is still got the advantage. And with the lap times they've been running, they're getting closer and closer now, where he was running a few tenths off in the early part of the race. Hutu is likely to have a little bit more fuel.
So then, it's now Rocco Baroni who's in the 3rd place in this event. And we haven't talked much about Baroni in that number 28
what a job.
car. Yeah, in the same way that Omishima and Abe did so well, and qualifying for Abe's case only, really, at Canada. Baroni is doing an absolutely sterling job right now. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at RaceSpotTV. Use the hashtag iRacingWCS for that one. But the IL team for Rocco Baroni is just doing an absolutely stupendous job right now as we're on board of him, working himself down towards Stowe Corner again.
Yeah, a magnificent job he's doing at the moment, and to be sitting in the position that he's in, and only 2.2 seconds back from Gregor Hutu, and not to pit yet as well, that's crucial. UC Yakoda's obviously pitted earlier on, and we thought Rocco Baroni could be doing something similar, but not at all. Up to lap 26. And I'll tell you what, this has been really, really strong for Rocco Baroni. They must be delighted that Baroni's doing this. And Martin Kroenke as well. He's having a solid run. Still, he's a little bit, a few tenths short. But, oh, who's just gone round there? Marty Piatella's just gone round there, right in front of Gregor Hutu.
Oh.
On the exit of Abbey there, so just before the bridge.
We'll get a replay.
It's a bit of a moment there for Marty Piatella.
Getting a replay of that up on your screen, and he just loses it there coming out of the Abbey chicane. He does hit the tyre barrier a little bit, so for Martin Piatella, that is not what he wants. And then coming back onto the racetrack, you see there, very close to Gregor Hutu. We'll get another replay of him, actually. We'll get this one on board with him, see what went wrong. This is a run down into the Abbey chicane, coming through the chicane, nicely on the curb on the entry, then used that curb on the exit, and that curb on the exit just spun him around there.
Yeah, and then Gregor Hutu then suddenly appeared as well, so I think Hutu may have had a touch of a shock, but nevertheless, he gets away with it. As Rocco Baroni actually set a comparable lap time to Ollie Pacala, and both were a tenth quicker than Gregor Hutu, interestingly, that last time round.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a to and fro between Pacala and Hutu. They keep on trading laps. That gap has been static about 3.7, 3.8 seconds for, what, 10 laps or so now in this event? So Hutu right there in that number 1 team Redline car. You can't discount him yet. Of course, he's trying to go for the 5-peat now in this event.
Yeah, you can never discount him, but I tell you what, Ollie Pacala is doing a magnificent job, and Rocco Baroni, the job that he is doing And to keep enough pressure on, you know, we never know. Baroni may go the deepest into the race for all we know currently on these fuel loads.
Never discount the power of pitting later in this event. As we're getting closer, ladies and gentlemen, to half race distance here in the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. That guy right there, Oli Picala, is scored as your race leader. He started this race in the 2nd position, hasn't yet pitted, and currently has himself, get this, a 3.8 second advantage over Gregor Hutu. And last time by was a full 10th faster than Gregor Hutu. A 1 minute 21.0 for Picard, a 1 minute 21.1 there for Gregor Hutu.
Same for Baroni as well, and he's keeping Hutu very honest at the moment. Like I said, not dropped too far back, and can still see the race leader and 2nd place man in Hangar Straight. That's pretty massive, and Cronke can only just about do that. So Rocco Baroni, what a job you are doing at the moment, sir. And how far can you go into this race? Only 2 laps in the midpoint, and that would be very respectable to get that deep into the race, and would have kept this close to Gregor Hutu.
There you see the gaps for your top 5 as it is on your screen right now. Running at the rear of the top 5 is Jake Sturgis. And that guy, he charged to the field early, and now he's got himself, gets a huge lead over that guy who's running in 6th, which is Alexei Yusiakola, now on his 2nd run. But then he's now got Hugo Luis all over his rear end as they battle for what is 6th place on the racetrack.
Yeah, 10th place is between Mogar Philo and Isaac Price as well, and Isaac Price is pretty close to Mogar Philo, so he's going to come under fire after Enzo Benito appears to have got by him finally and pulled quite a healthy margin of 5 seconds over him also. And yeah, Hugo Luis is closed in on Yarcola, and Yarcola is a fair old way back now as well. So question is how far into the race he goes before pitting again. We do believe he has to pit again, as we are working lap 29.
Yeah, I really do think that he is going to have to pit at least one more time in this event. Based upon his pit time, we'll get better idea of whether he will need to, though. Probably once these other guys come onto their pit stops. You need to remember, it was a 9.8 second pit stop there for Alexei Yusiakola. So if the guys on pit road, when they make a one-stop strategy, go longer than that, we know what that means, Nick, don't you? Yakola's on a 2-stopper.
You would think so, yeah. Yakola is definitely on a 2-stopper, and getting pretty threatening a moment or so ago from Hugo Luis as well. So Yarcola's got to step up. 21.9 for Yarcola, where Luis has did a 21.4. So there's your speed difference and time difference right there.
I'm going to interrupt you. Gregor Hutu has actually got himself into the 20s. A 20.960 that last time, Bri. Now it's Hutu who's flying. And guess what? That gap is still about 3.8 seconds on the racetrack, Nick.
That's definitely coming down. It's 21.0 from Picala. Got across the line now. 20.9 for... That's a quicker 20.9 as well. And 20.9 for Hutu. So he's actually increased the gap again, Picala, that time round.
It's a fascinating race that we've got ourselves right now in this event. As we see, we're
Baroni also with a 20.9.
Baroni
is it's simply matching what Hutu does. It's incredible what Rocco Baroni is doing at the moment.
It really is, and he is definitely a candidate. As it stands right now for driver of the race, you're going to have to say for Rocco Baroni right now.
If the race was stopped right now, lap 30, halfway through, Baroni would get it.
On board of Baroni as he works himself down into Club Corner. And this is what's impressing me. Look at his line through Club. Nicely into the corner. Nicely angling his car for the second part of it. Running a little bit wide. Waiting for the point he knows he can hit the power. Then just getting on it. None of this running wide thing that we saw with some drivers a little bit early on in the race. Just smooth and consistent for that number 28 car. The ill team car of Rocco Baroni, of course, sponsored by Frostmaster. They're getting a good return on investment today.
Oh, definitely. He squares the corners off really nicely as well. He late apexes a lot, but then he squares the corners off beautifully. I like his driving style. He drives in deep and then squares it off. And I guess that also helped tyres a little more so. And he's reaping the benefits at the moment. Let's just see what these times are this time round. 21.1 from Picala. Across the line, that's a 20.8 from Hutu. What a lap that's been. And a 20.9 from Baroni. So actually the slowest man then was Oli Picala. A staggering 3/10.
And there you see Gregor Hutu working himself once again through Chapel. And we always say in this event, Hutu, you know, he's got a lot of competition. But this is where Gregor Hutu all season long has just been absolutely dominant. And I remember about
this
4
phase
rounds
right
ago.
now.
Yeah, this phase. And we remember to talk to the 3ID guys, and they said they struggle in this second phase of a fuel run. Team Redline have just been so good in this second stage of a fuel run.
Oh, wow. Hutu just ran really deep in Club Corner as well then. Sorry, in Vale.
He did, but he didn't lose any time.
He didn't... Well, no, he seems to get... He might have lost a 10th there, actually, but that was pretty deep into the corner where he went. But yeah, Hutu's definitely pushing, I know that much.
And for Hutu in that second phase of the race, we've seen it, what, for about 5-6 races in a row now. This is why he's a three-time champion. And every race I say, you cannot discount the three-time champion. I'm saying it once again. You cannot discount that three-time champion. End of story.
Definitely not, and especially with the way he's driving at the moment. And obviously, these guys are awesome. Whoa! 20.6 from Pacala. What a lap that's been. That's a fantastic lap, and it was a 20.8 from Hutu. Pacala literally just turned it on then. That was magnificent. What a lap that has been from Ollie Pacala. And Rocco Barone, he did a 21.3. It was slower time that's for Rocco Barone, so he may be starting to struggle on his tyres, whereas they are coming alive for Gregor Hutu and Ollie Pacala.
On board with Ollie Pacala working down into Stowe Corner. Now let's see whether Pacala can do the same line. He goes a little bit wide down the exit of Stowe Corner as they work themselves down into Club. Again, nicely diamonding off the corner there to get himself a good run. Doesn't run as wide, you see, getting on the power a little bit earlier. Would he use that AstroTurf on the outside? The answer is going to be no. Pacala is very good through Club Corner. In fact, along with Barone, by far the best of the drivers we have, as we're now into the second half of this race, 29 laps remaining. Pacala, let's see how he is through bridge, because this is just fascinating here. Underneath the bridge, then angle that car all the way to the right, and Pacala does look rock solid right now, but he's not too far away, I think, from making his first pit stop of the day.
It's getting close. I think we also just saw Jake Sturgios pit potentially just that last time round. He did indeed, as Ollie Pacala carries on.
Yeah, he'll carry on for another lap.
Yeah, Gregor Hutu goes, and so does Rocco Barone. But yeah, I believe. So let's put UC Arcola up another position. Let's see where did he come out?
Right, this is interesting. He's 16th, but the pit time, 11.7 seconds. That was 2 seconds longer than Alexei UC Arcola, but now Sturgis will have fuel to go to the end. I think that is definitely a two-stop strategy right now for Alexei UC Arcola, and it's not working for him right now.
No, definitely not. Arcola, even though his pace is great, that is not working at all. He's really picked up his pace as well. 21.0 now for Arcola, but it's just not going to be enough, and he needs to close quicker than what he has been. 20.4 from Pacala to a 20.5 from Hutu and a 20.6 from Barone. But another 2/10 there for Pacala.
Yeah, and guess what that gap is right now? 3.8 seconds.
3.8.
Exactly what it's been for, what, 20 laps of this event right now?
How about that now, yeah.
You've got the young gun, the new driver into the series, Ollie Pacala at number 27 machine, leading the way, and he's been actually matching that three-time champion of Gregor Hutu pretty much the last 20 laps of this event, and we have seen how Pacala is not phased at all by that driver who is that three-time champion Gregor Hutu, ever.
True, 20.6 that time for Pacala, and it was a 20.5 from Hutu. And we wait to see for Rocco Barone. He did a 20.7.
Yeah, and there you see the gap between Hutu and Barone. 3.1 seconds on the racetrack right now. These guys will continue to battle. There is first place on your screen coming down into Stowe Corner. There is second place on your screen coming down into Stowe Corner. And then is third place driver coming in. And just in the distance there you see Martin Clonke as well, as they now work themselves down towards Club. And a great camera angle we have here. With Gregor Hutu running still in that second position. To give you an update, by the way, on retirees, Jeremy Boosloop didn't start this event. Matis Egger out on the first lap. Fulvio Barazini, Yuhu A, Marcus Caton, Rico Elatala, and Martin Piatella all classified as out of the race. Not the high attrition we had at Canada last week, but still, a number of drivers already out. Lee Thompson has scored one lap down there.
Yeah, it seems the gaps and the distances are pretty high at the moment as well, so you're going to start seeing, I guess, relatively soon some lap traffic, but yeah, pushing on nicely out in front of these guys as Pacala goes going through for another lap.
Yeah, and you're seeing it on your screen. This is Paul Ilbrink getting himself there past Jake Sturgis. Now Sturgis is on heavier fuel, but Paul Ilbrink is get past him. And Rocco Barone is onto pit road. So here we go. This is going to be our first real indicator of what's going to happen with this race. And Baroni's coming on to what, about 3 laps earlier, I think, than what we really expect to see your front runners doing. So Baroni's in, able to match Hutu earlier on, but let's see what his pit time is going to be. He's onto his pit box right now. It's about a 5, 6, 7 seconds under pit stop. It was 11 seconds, remember, earlier for Jake Sturgios. It's over 11.1 seconds there for Rocco Baroni. So again, 2 seconds longer than Alexei Yisiakola, and a bit of a wiggle there coming out of pit road.
Yep, that'll be him sorted to the end of the race, though, for Rocco Baroni. Let's just see where he has come out in relation.
Ahead of Sturgios.
Ahead of Sturgios. That's work for Rocco Baroni. He's got to get these tyres up to temperature quickly, though, now, and really push on as much as he possibly can. Obviously, wait to see what those 2 front-running drivers decide to do.
Oh, there's a pass going on behind them as well there, you see. I believe that might be Mo Garfilo and Isaac Price. Indeed, they're Mo Garfilo defending heavily from Isaac Price. These guys have been battling all race long. And Oli Picala, ladies and gentlemen, is onto pit road. So here he comes onto pit road. And you see it's 75 kilometers an hour on pit road. And Oli Picala is going to make his one and only pit stop of the day here from the race lead. Can he come out ahead of Yokola? The answer is probably going to be yes on that one. But where will he come out when Gregor Hutu makes his pit stop? We believe in probably just a couple of laps' time. 4 fresh tyres there for Oli Picala. He's going to top up with race gas as well.
Yokola's made a mistake as well.
We'll come back to that one in a moment. And yeah, he's Martin Kroenke, we think, also is on pit road. There you see Martin Kroenke. He's making his one and only pit stop of the day as well.
Yokola is in front. Yokola is in front of Picala, but we believe he may have had a bit of a mistake, as Enzo Benito is right behind Oli Picala, and Picala needs to defend from Benito, because Benito, oh, he's going to go by him, is he? Yes, he is. Benito is going to get him on the entry to Stowe corner, and goes by him.
So there is Enzo Benito. Of course, don't forget as well, Benito is on light fuel, Oli Picala is on heavier fuel as it stands right now. But where is Gregor Hutu as it stands? Well, he's just working himself out of Luffield right now. Will he make that journey onto pit road this time by? We will say the answer is going to be no, he won't. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a race, Nick, because it's 2 laps longer than Gregor Hutu looks to be going.
That's what he needed.
And this could be it. Although I do have to say, I don't think that the cutover is as much as we've seen previously. It's about 1.5 seconds. I think he needs 1 more lap after this.
To be safe, I think so. But also remember that a bit of traffic there also. It's not really exactly the cleanest out lap for Oli Picala. So we'll have to wait and see what eventually happens with him. But yeah, I think Picala is going to get a little bit hindered initially.
So then, Gregor Hutu working himself now out and towards Club Corner on the racetrack. And he's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him as well. Now, he won't catch him this lap. He might catch him next lap. So he's going to have to bear that one in mind. But Gregor Hutu is classified as your race leader. We've got Andre Borcher right now classified on pit road. And you see he's got his pit time about 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. 10.7 stop there for Andre Borcher. And he is going to be out and away. You've also got Simon Cattell on pit road right now. He's about to make his pit stop. But we are keeping our eye out, of course, on this guy and this guy only. Gregor Hutu. Will he come in this time by? Well, we're looking high above here at Silverstone with 24 laps to go. Will Gregor Hutu come in? No, he stays out another lap, Nick.
This is incredible. This is a 3rd lap now he's going into this race, and it's a 20.4. He's doing 20.4s. Now, we did see Picala do this as well, but at the end of his stint, he was up to 20.5, 20.6, but consistent now for Hutu. His problem is actually he's going to have lap traffic in front of him.
Yep. And for Gregor Hutu, it's a 20.4 last time by. Yokola did a 21.3. You see, it's 26 seconds, that gap on your screen right now. But for Gregor Hutu, he's got to make sure that this lap is special. He has got lap traffic. I believe, actually, that is Stephen Michaels just ahead of him on the racetrack. So Stephen Michaels is going to have Gregor Hutu bearing down at him. And you don't want to have it happen at this corner, because Michaels goes a little bit sideways through the corner. Now, Hutu will be held up throughout this apex here, because you're single file all the way through club.
Most definitely, yeah, and Gregor is close. He's got by him now, but he was definitely held up through that series of corners. He's got another one in front of him now as well, so he's got to go careful. But yeah, definitely a slower mid-sector that for Gregor Hutu. We'll have to wait and see if he does decide to pit this time by, or go through for another lap.
got one more car ahead of him as well.
Yeah, one more car. What's he going to do? Dive right or carry on?
The answer we'll find in. He's going to dive in. So here comes Gregor Houtu.
That wasn't great, what he's just experienced there on his in lap, but that's 3 laps longer. Where is Ollie Picala?
Well, as Gregor Houtu is on pit road, we are waiting to see where Ollie Picala is.
Picala
he is here.
Through the bridge.
Yeah. So Picala is working himself right now through into Brooklands, and he's going to have a couple of corners and Luffield to go.
Houtu's hit this box now. Houtu's in the box now.
Yakola's working himself through Woodcott. Here is Gregor Houtu. Let's see what his pit time is going to be. It's up to 9, up to 10 seconds. 9.4 seconds. What a stop. You see Yakola goes past, however. We believe Yakola's got one more stop to go. Where is Ollie Picala? Ollie Picala's not going to get out ahead. It's going to be Gregor Houtu out into second, but we do think that Alexei Yakola even might have to do another lap. Sorry, another pit stop here, but Yakola does lead for the time being.
He certainly does. So that puts Houtu quite comfortably clear of Picala. We were saying he would need 2 laps. He barely even needed that. Look at the advantage. That's magnificent advantage now for Gregor Houtu over Ollie Picala. Picala's all of his hard work now. He's running in the 22s again. And Houtu, let's see what his early pace will be. And Alexei Yakola, we do believe, will have to come in again.
So, it is currently Yakola from Houtu from Picala. There you see Houtu on the racetrack, and Picala, well, he's all the way back there right now. And he is about 4.5 seconds behind Gregor Houtu as it stands on the racetrack with 22 laps of this event remaining. The guy we've got to think about, though, is the Alexei Yakola. Has he got enough fuel to get down to the end of this race? You see, there's Picala, there is Houtu, and then there is Alexei Yakola just coming past the start-finish line.
You probably think not, but you never know, because that was a very, very quick stop for Gregor Houtu there. So we'll just have to wait and see now what Yakola doing. Yakola just turned a 20.8 that time round.
I'm doing the math.
It was a 22.3 for Ollie Picala.
I am doing the math, and again, remember this, 9.8 second pit stop there for Alexei Yakola. Now, Gregor Houtu needed to take 23 laps worth of fuel in this event, and he did it in 9.7 seconds. That means that's probably about 24 laps of fuel for Alexei Yakola. I expect him on pit road in 10 laps time.
Yeah, I was going to go for 8 laps, but it's close enough. Yeah, I would say in around sort of 48, he'll be diving back into pit lane once again. I'm just going to see what the first flying lap is, though, now for Gregor Houtu in comparison. Because against Ollie Picala was 22.3 for what Ollie Picala did. Let's just see what Gregor Houtu can do.
Yunus Nakurian coming out of pit road completes that cycle, so he goes longer than anyone else, but is scored now towards the rear of the field in that 22nd position on the racetrack. Not the race that he would have wanted here today, but to run through your top 10, ladies and gentlemen, it is Alexei Yakola who leads by 4.3 seconds over Gregor Houtu. Ollie Picala in 3rd, Mogarfilo in 4th, Rocco Baroni in 5th, and Martin Conte, Alex Simpson, Apala, Ilbrink, and Nakurian, who scored in top 10. He's not anymore, but yeah, what a lap last time by 20.4 actually for Alexei Yakola. He's a lot closer to pitting than I think he is.
21.9 for Houtu, 22.2 for Picala. This early phase of this fuel run, and Houtu is on it. He's absolutely on it.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, for more information about the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, visit wcs.iracing.com for all the latest news, information, driver interviews, and so much more, including the complete schedule for the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series and the NASCAR Peak Entry Series powered by iRacing.com as well. If you're wondering where we're going to be in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be the summer break of the series. We'll be back on the 19th of July 2014 for the 10th round of the championship. That will take place at Twin Ring Motegi. And for some of these drivers, Nick, people like Hugo Ruiz especially, they are desperately hoping that summer break will bring a change in fortunes.
I think some of these guys could just do with the break. It's been extremely intense for these first rounds of the season. And a break will do serve everyone very, very well, as Yakola just turned to 20.5 there. But yeah, it's going to be a well-deserved break for all of these drivers.
For Hugo Ruiz, though, you've got to say...
21.7.
21.7, actually.
22's it. 22-0 for Picale, so he's got 2 to 3 tenths advantage over Picale. He's just going to pull away. I think your prediction's going to be right.
Hugo Luis, let's talk about him. He's running in 9th right now. He's got Enzo Benito behind him. He had that contact earlier with Jake Sturgios. Was that contact potentially his championship now over?
Yes, most definitely. I think that is, unfortunately, going into the summer break, that's the last thing Hugo Luis wanted. But you'd have to believe at this point in time, this very moment, on this very day in history, that is Hugo Luis's 2014 championship probably done with.
And again, he runs in the 9th place right now, and you can see the gap between himself and Enzo Benito. It's not that much on the racetrack. Enzo Benito, by the way, has made a pit stop, and he's back out and away on the racetrack. Apologies there for the small timing and scoring issue, but you see there, Hugo Luis, and then right there behind him is Enzo Benito. And then behind him as well, that is Jake Sturgios. Now, Jake Sturgios, you know, he's been in a bit of the mix recently, but one guy who just caught my attention, Alex Simpson, running at my timing and scoring right now in the 6th place on the racetrack with Ilka Happada right there behind him. I don't think these two guys have pitted yet.
Possibly not, but I tell you what, they're going very, very deep into the race, or they're going to get Audacious and try and one-stop it. Sorry, not stop at all, but no, I doubt it. But Alex Simpson, Ilka Happada, you'll see all these drivers move forwards, but great job from both of them at the moment. Be 30 seconds off, and yeah, you know, running fairly solidly times.
You see Ilka Happada is right there behind him. The gap between them is about 0.5 of a second on the racetrack. Neither of those drivers have pitted yet. Will they make that journey right onto pit road this time by? The answer is going to be yes. You see one of the drivers coming in, and that there is, sorry, I've forgotten who it is now. It's Ilka Happada who's come onto pit road.
It certainly is, yes. Happada comes in, and let's just see what about these other drivers. Rocco Baroni. What's happened to Rocco Baroni? Let's have a look. So he's fallen way down, actually, in terms of, well, he's not down the order, but he's down on time quite a lot. And Martin Kroenke is a lot closer to Baroni than earlier in the race, in the first stint. So Kroenke may be starting to make an impression on Baroni.
But out of pit road comes Ilka Happada. That means actually the last guy to pit in this race will be Alex Simpson, a 9-second pit stop there. And this is what I meant. 9 seconds will get you about 20 laps in this event. As soon as Nakurian now right behind Ilka Happada as they circulate through Maggots and Beckett.
Oh,
Hutu's
had a bit of a moment.
Oh,
Hutu's had a bit of a half moment. He's had a bit of a sloppy lap, and Picale's closed the gap, but not massively. I think he's just had a bit of a half spin, a half moment there for Gregor Hutu. Yeah, 23-0 that was.
Wow. Oh, Yakola's on pit road again.
21-8.
Yakola is on pit road, so we were right. It was a second stop there for Alexei Yakola. We
Early
knew he
as
was
well,
going to do it. Yeah, with 17 laps to go. This is going to put him well down the order.
Yeah, he's going to be nowhere after this. This is almost turning into a bit of a disaster for Alexei Yakola here. As he comes back out onto the track, he's going. Oh, he's
is that Hugo Luis ahead of him? No, that's Martin.
I think it is.
Martin Kroenke, take it back.
Yeah, that's Kroenke. Okay, so he's come out net 5th.
An 8.1 second pit stop there for Alexei Yakola, but he is now in a net 5th position, and he's got a gap now to Martin Kroenke of about, we haven't got it yet on our screens, I'm making that about a 2-second gap on the racetrack.
It's not much, and also Rocco Baroni's just in front. Yakola could still get a podium out of this.
But still, why would he do this from starting this race on pole position? I have no idea.
I'm not sure, but perhaps Glacier decided to go for an outright different strategy. Wasn't expecting this, a 2-stop strategy, but Yakola's pace has been phenomenal. We will have to wait and see, but a podium is definitely still on.
But what it does mean is the guy going for the 5P, that guy right there, Gregor Hutu, leads this race.
It certainly does. He comes across the line after doing 23-0 and does a 21.5.
Wow.
That's a massive lap. 21.7 for Picale, and just starts to pull away again. 4 seconds.
And for Gregor Hutu, it's in, once again, that middle part. And it doesn't matter what he does in the middle part of the race. He's just dominant over all the guys. And despite having a slow lap, so that's a 4-second lead over Oli Picale. Now, let's not forget, earlier on in this event, Picale was 4 seconds almost ahead of Gregor Hutu. There is Picale right there. He has now scored 4 seconds behind Gregor Hutu and not making any inroads at all with 16 laps to go.
Yeah, most definitely. Yakola as well is only a second behind Martin Kroenke, and then a further second is to Rocco Baroni. So I think we're going to have a great scrap for the final step on the podium between Rocco Baroni, Martin Kroenke and Alexei Yakola, as Hutu and Picale are out in front. 4 seconds split the pair, with Hutu lapping significantly faster.
Picard at that time did look a little bit weird through Club Corner. It just didn't seem to be like he had the momentum he had a little bit earlier on in this event. Been working on board of Wally Picard now for about half a lap as he comes down into Brooklands once again. In this slow section, it seems to be now like Glacier Racing car just not handling the way it was at the start of this race. Nick.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It looks quite heavy, looks quite lethargic. Doesn't look like it's got the movement that Picard is looking for. Yeah, I just don't quite think that car is working the same. 4.2 seconds the gap now. Another 2/10 taken out there for Gregor Hutu, and I think this is going to be, shall we call it, the settling down phase.
The settling down phase indeed. There is Gregor Hutu. He is classified as your race leader. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step aside for just one moment and then we'll be back with the closing laps of the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. You are watching this race from Silverstone here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Be right back.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93, 39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's going to be the race for the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go. As you love it.
Here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the next round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com will take place this coming week, June 17th at the Michigan International Raceway. It's your speed for 125 laps. That'll be live on PSR TV and MRN, the Motor Racing Network, and of course here on iRacing Live. As it stands right now, it is Gregor Hutu looking to make it 5 wins in a row and show once again why he is that 3-time iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series champion. He is classified as your race leader. Nick, he's number 1 in the number 1 Team Redline car.
Most certainly is, and what a job he is doing at the moment. He has pulled its 4.1 seconds, and after what was an impressive opening stint from Alexei Usiakola and Oli Pakala, those two Glacier Racing guys have fallen backwards, and once again Gregor Hutu comes to the forefront. This race has been a lot to do about Hugo Luis as well.
The 4.2 seconds is the gap right now between Gregor Hutu and Oli Pakala. You can want to see what the gap is between those drivers. Well, here it is. There is Oli Pakala just coming underneath the bridge right now. Oli Picardo's got a 13.6 second gap over that guy, Rocco Baroni, who's still classified on a podium finish. We seem to get one every single race, and Rocco Baroni right now is just doing an astonishing job in that third place on the racetrack. You see him just coming under the hill, under a little bit of pressure right now from Martin Kroenke, but still vying for a podium finish right now.
Most certainly is, and I think we just got an outright scrap here for the final position on the podium. Baroni seems to have dropped back a little bit. Kroenke there, and Yarkola on, you know, he is coming at them, but it's only matching them at the moment. A second back, second between all of them, and then with the about 10-11 laps to go, it's going to be a question of, can Yarkola do anything about the pair of them as Yarkola closes in on Kroenke.
Yeah, and there is Alexei Yarkola right now, scored in the 5th place on the racetrack. There is Martin Kroenke just ahead of him. And for Alexei Yarkola, this is going to be a race of, what did I do? Why did I do this strategy? Why did I do it so wrong? Because Kroenke ahead of him, and then Baroni ahead of him. You know, these guys started well back from him on the starting grid, yet Yarkola's just done nothing here today to really sort this one out.
Well, let's look at what happened in the race. Early on, he had a bit of a moment where he ran wide through Stoke Corner. That probably cost him a second, maybe 2 seconds there alone. Then, as we know, just prior to his second pit stop, he had another bit of a moment, maybe a bit of a half spin, bit of a spin, and that cost him even more time. We'd take that into consideration. That puts him around about, say, net 6 seconds further down the road. That would have him on the podium. So it's driver error at the same time. That puts Jussi Yarkola on the podium, we'd have to say. That then puts him a total of around about 12 seconds off Gregor Huttu. 12 seconds off Gregor Huttu on a two-stop strategy. That's not that bad. That's not too bad, really. Why he opted for this, we will have to probably wait and see until the end of the race, and why Oli Picardo opted for a one-stop strategy and currently finds himself 4.6 seconds further behind Gregor Huttu. Whatever the case may be, is Jussi Yarkola's pace is so strong on these fuel loads. I say that, but even though he can't actually navigate his way around Martin Kroenke or Rocco Baroni, and currently, as things stand, driver of the day is Rocco Baroni in 3rd place.
I can't say anything to the contrary apart from that. Of course, Gregor Huttu getting the 5P, 5 race wins in a row, has got to be in consideration, but that number 28 car of Rocco Baroni, a rookie into the series this year, really has done himself a sterling job. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, for more information about the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, head over to wcs.iracing.com for all the latest news, interviews and reviews. Of course, you can also read my review of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series after every race on the iRacing.com World Championship website and also on iRacing News as well. You can also follow us on Twitter at RaceSpotTV. Use the hashtag iRacingWCS to let us know what you're doing on this World Cup Saturday, of course, with Le Mans going on, and of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. That is your battle right now for 3rd, 4th, 5th place on the racetrack. Baroni, that gap is still 1 second, and the gap between Kroenke and Yarkola, it's still 1 second on the racetrack. One guy who we haven't talked much about, and the reason being mainly the fact that he's not had a race to remember at all, is the guy who right now is just working himself under the bridge. That's Hugo Luis, actually just coming out the Abbey Chicane. That's how far back he is. And Hugo Luis has still got Enzo Benito on his tail, just 1 second separating those two drivers.
Yeah, for those just joining us, what we need to remember as well, Hugo Luis obviously had that contact with Jake Sturgios, and is, we believe, been nursing a bit of a hairy car by the looks of it, and a massive oversteer moments for him. And yet ticking off the laps and doing a fairly solid job, still to be in 6th place, with Sturgis actually 6 seconds further behind him. So Hugo Luis is doing this is a great effort for him, considering what has happened throughout this race, and what you would have to say would be close to being a complete write-off for this championship. But yeah, a great effort. Enzo Benito not too far back. Jake Sturgios is down in 8th place. But a bit of heartbreak here for Hugo Luis, because you have to say at the end of this, Will, it probably is looking more like the championship is slipping away from him. And Gregor Huttu looking like he will take another championship.
So what can he do in this off-season to rebuild himself? Is it just a case of hitting the reset button and then trying to get race victory 5 in a row like Gregor Huttu's had? Or is it the case now that he's going to have to go so bold in strategy that he'll either win or come home outside the top 10?
Well, I think for Hugo, it's very much a case of either way. Either he consolidates the season and he basically gets himself to the end and he writes off and he thinks, right, dust myself off in the winter, go again next year. Or he thinks, right, no, there's still a possibility, there is still fight left in me. If he has that fight left in him, then he has to practice, even if it means practicing as of tomorrow onwards, and he has to get down to get to know the car as quick as he possibly can for coming back for Twin Ring Motegi. But I tell you what, it is going to be tough. It is going to be really, really tough now for Hugo Luis to fight back against Gregor Hutu. He needs Gregor Hutu to have a bit of a couple of bad races to really get back into this championship. At the moment, it is slipping away from Luis. It's just a question of now, does he have the fight in him to go for the second half of the year?
And Benito actually dropped back a couple of tenths from second that time by. Now the gap is about 1.2 seconds on the racetrack as they come onto the hangar straight away once again. A little bit further behind them, you have got a couple of battles still to talk about. Antoine Hegling has got a train of cars behind him. They involve Stephen Michaels, Simon Cattell and David Corpse. Now, we did see some drivers actually do a two-stopper race here today, which did put them out of position just a little bit, when we've seen a lot more strategy here today than what we're used to in this series.
Yeah, definitely more so, especially with that one from UC Arcola in particular, but we've seen strategy completely be paramount more than anything here today. And yeah, we have seen huge swings in what people are doing on strategy. Usually we see a case of going as deep into the race as you possibly can, pitting, getting that advantage, and basically running away with it. And that's exactly what Hutu's been doing. But we have seen a few two-stoppers and some interesting strategies from a few people. But again, it's the way that Gregor Hutu does it best.
And behind them, you've got David Corpse, Simon Cattell. They are trying to really work in this battle as well. And you've got about 4 or 5 cars separated by about 2 seconds on the racetrack right now. One other story to talk to you about, well, that is Jonas Nakurian chasing down his teammate Paul Ilbring. And after a good start to this race for the Radicals drivers, they haven't had the race they would have wanted, because Jeremy Bootaloo didn't start this race. You've got Mo Garfilo right now running in the 10th place on the racetrack, which, you know, is about where he started here today. But, you know, once again, Mo Garfilo, where he started inside the top 10. I said at the top of the broadcast, Bootaloo, had he been racing, could have got himself into the top 5. The Radicals team has had a bit of an on and off season now. Jonas Nakurian's up about 4 places from where he started. Paul Ilbrink, I expected a bit more from him in this race.
Yeah, Bootaloo, well, sorry, the Radicals generally seems to be a bit of an enigma this race, because usually they have great race pacing come through the field and not such great in qualifying, whereas qualifying was good today and they've really not hit it off in the race. So a bit of disappointment for Radicals, and if they can blend the two together, then you have to believe they'll be certainly battling in around that top 5 position.
On board there with Paul Ilbrink, you see that is how close Jonas Nakurian is behind him. About half a second right now on the racetrack as they continue through Club Corner once again. And overtaking has been difficult here today as Nakurian gets a little bit closer, not quite close enough, however, to make the pass, as these guys now in just less than 10 laps to go, just 6 laps to go in this event, to try and sort out the battles between them. Out front though, Rocco Barone now has Martin Cronquet, get this, that's 0.7 of a second back on the racetrack right now. Barone is coming underneath some increased pressure.
He certainly is. With only 5 to go as well, he's starting to feel that pressure, and he just needs to keep his head, because he is on for what will be an incredible result for Rocco Barone.
They are your 3rd, 4th and 5th place drivers. You see, there is Barone in 3rd, then it is Cronquet in the 4th position, and then in 5th, right behind them is Alexei Luciacola. Cola, of course, the driver who started this race on pole position here today.
Yeah, and he's getting close to them as well, so it's going to be a case of what can Cronquet do about Rocco Barone, and can Luciacola get close to Martin Cronquet. If those two in front will start battling, then Yarcola has a chance.
Let's have a look on board now with Martin Cronquet in that Ferrari 3ID car powered by iGP Manager, running a little bit wide there through Cops Corner. No harm, no foul. The gap is still about 8 tenths of a second on the racetrack. This is where that dirty air really hits you though. Right at this point of the racetrack, is working himself through Maggots, Beckett and then through Chapel.
It certainly does, and you can see the split also increasing, and now these guys just have to settle into the rhythm before they can get back to the slow speed section and make up the time again. But yeah, I just think they're cancelling each other out at the moment, and Barone seems to have a nice buffer once again whereas Kroenke has fallen back towards UC
So those drivers still separated by about a second each on the racetrack. Ilka Hapala, by the way, he is still a little bit close to Robin Friscop. The gap between those drivers is about half a second right now on the racetrack as Hapala tries to close down Robin Friscop in what is a battle for what, the 13th position on the racetrack. And Friscop's having a good race today in that number 37 car.
Yeah, great job for Friscop. We saw him early on, and even Alex Simpson's had a fairly solid race as well in the 12th position. Behind, just in front of Mo Garfield and Isaac Price. So both those drivers are having a great day, and I think they'll be particularly pleased with the results that look like they're on for, with just 3 to go in this one. But you know that Isaac Price and Mo Garfield probably a little bit further back than they would have liked, but coming through the field, Enzo Benito is obviously pulling back up well solidly inside the top 10 and consolidating what has been a pretty rough qualifying session, I think, more than anything for him.
Yeah, and you talk about qualifying, and it's again another time to talk about Hugo Luis's qualifying. He had a very bad qualifying. He was on a very fast lap, but of course lost it down at Club Corner. We could have been talking about a very different Hugo Luis race had he have actually got that qualifying lap now, and it showed just how important qualifying is here in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Not just because of the difficulties of overtaking sometimes, but more because of the fact that, you know, you qualify well, you're not going to be in all the drama in that mid-pack.
No, definitely not, and it's been proven once again. You got to get clear at the start, and if you get clear at the start, you have a start like the Glacier Boys did, along with Gregor Hutu, and Hutu's now capitalised. And I'll tell you what, this is going to get interesting between UC Yakola and Martin Kroenke, because Kroenke is definitely falling towards UC Yakola, as he has a big slide going through Brooklands Corner there as well. But UC Yakola is definitely looking pretty menacing against Martin Kroenke.
Yeah, and with just a couple of laps to go in this race, it is time, if he wants to do anything, to get it done right now. We're working on board with Alexei Yusiakola with just 3 laps to go in this event. Can he do something? There's a bit of traffic as well. That might help him a little bit. But if that traffic's caught at the wrong time, actually Kroenke is going to get a big tow. In fact, no, that's Baroni. I take it back. And I think Kroenke, oh, Yakola going very sideways there.
Huge moment there for UC Yakola. He's been on it all day. He's been pushing like crazy all day long. And again, that's the 3rd mistake he's now made. They say it comes in 3s, and that's the 3rd one. Big oversteer moment, and I think that's a chance now written off against Martin Kroenke.
Yeah, replay
and the
of
podium
that.
Going in from Rocco Barone.
Replay of that up on your screen. You see just getting himself very close to the grass there. And Alexei Yakola almost binned it there at Chapel Corner. And you don't want to bin it at Chapel because it's a very difficult, fastest part of the racetrack. And I believe that's a car just allowing him to all to go past. Now, just 2.5 laps remaining. We have got to talk about this guy, though. Gregor Hutu, because he has just been absolutely fabulous with 2 laps to go in this race. No one's been able to touch Hutu since about the 5th round of the championship.
No, got the job once again. Amazing consistency as well. We actually thought he was dropping back in the early stages from where Ollie Pacala was, and Pacala may have that advantage. Not the case. He just set his car up a little bit more understeer, let the car come to him on the lower fuel towards the end of the stint, obliterated them, and then came out and just went hell for leather to try and improve the times. And his first lap out on full fuel to get themselves to the end of the race, it was a 21.9, incredible pace. And even at that point, it was only 22.2 from Ollie Pacala. So Hutu has had the pace advantage all day long.
Yeah, and to give you an update on that battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th, it's about 1.5 second advantage for Rocco Baroni over Martin Kroenke right now. And Martin Kroenke then has a 1 second advantage over Alexei Yakola. So it looks as though that battle, for the time being, is pretty much done. Meanwhile, Gregor Hutu is working himself now through Luffield Corner. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final lap of the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series with Gregor Hutu, who has just been absolutely phenomenal once again as we work on board of him. This is going to be a treat, seeing Gregor Hutu at his best in this fast speed section.
Certainly is, and look at the line, that beautiful line he just took through Cops Corner, coming now through Maggots to Beckett's Corner. Lovely sweeping into Chapel. There's a little bit of traffic down the road, but I don't think he'll catch it in time along this beautiful now hanger straight. You can already see Stowe Corner, but it's a long way down there until you've got to hit the braking zone. Hits the brakes and will flick it down a few gears into the right-hander. Now it goes through Stowe, up towards Vale Corner. Vale Corner, come down at one of the slowest points in the track into Vale Corner, or the slowest point, through Vale, flicks it right, will hold it. This is now Club Corner. Club Corner accelerating down towards Abbey, where he will flick left into Abbey Corner, brakes down into Abbey, left and then right before going underneath the bridge. Bridge takes you round into the Brooklands section. Coming now into Brooklands. This is where he's been running wide. Does he run wide again? Not quite. Look at that, perfectly over the curb through Brooklands into Luffield and round Luffield Corner, and will take it away.
Yeah, Gregor Hutu coming out of the final corner for the final time. He has won the last 4 races in a row. Gregor Hutu makes it 5 victories on the trot here in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And after a tough start to the season, Gregor Hutu is just dominant once again. There comes Oli Picard. He comes home in the 2nd position. Waiting now for Rocco Baroni. He's coming out of the final corner for the final time. He will claim 3rd place in this event. It was close, but he was able to get that job done. Behind, you can see Martin Kroenke, Alexei Isiakola. They round out your top 5. What a sterling drive, though, for Rocco Baroni as he comes home in the 3rd position. But a race to forget once again for Hugo Luis in that 6th place. Enzo Benito just coming past start-finish line behind him. Now just waiting for Jake Sturgios. He crosses the line in 8th. And behind him now, Andre Borgia just coming past the start-finish line. He will come home in 9th. And then to round out your top 10, there is Mo Garfilo. And he finishes your top 10 of Isaac Price, just coming past the start-finish line now in 11th. Right behind him is Alex Simpson. He comes home in the 12th position. Robin Friskops in the 13th position. Ilka Hapala right behind him. And then it's a bit of a wait for Paul Ilbrink. He will come home in the 15th spot on the racetrack. A sterling job by him. Jonas Nakurian about 2.3 seconds behind him on the racetrack. And then Antoine Hegelen, the last of the drivers on the lead lap, he comes home in 17th spot. But one guy, and one guy only, deserves the credit. And that is the guy who's won 5 races in a row. That is Gregor Hutu.
Phenomenal from Gregor Hutu, 5 wins, outstanding driving from him, got the strategy right, and he just drove away from them. Unlucky Oli Picard, I had him down to win today, but that was a sterling effort. But what an achievement for Rocco Baroni.
And what a race we've had here today. It's had some thrills, it's had some spills, but at the end of it, it was all, once again, that driver of Gregor Hutu. Let's run through your final race results. And ladies and gentlemen, before we do that, don't forget that for more information and updated team standings, head over to wcs.iracing.com. But Gregor Hutu gets victory here today from Oli Picard. 8 seconds is the gap when all is said and done. Rocco Baroni in 3rd, Martin Kroenke 4th, Alexei Isiakola rounds out your top 5. Hugo Luis, Enzo Benito, Jake Sturgios, Andre Porcher and Mo Garfilo rounding out your top 10. Nick, who's your biggest surprise out of that top 10?
It's going to be Rocco Baroni for me. I did not expect him to be on the podium, and I'll tell you what a drive he has had. They must be ecstatic in the team. Rocco Baroni is not only the biggest surprise, but my driver of the day.
Rest results coming up on your screen. Good job there, Isaac Price at 11th, and then Apex Racing's Alex Simpson in 12th. A little bit disappointing for some of the guys through that 11 through 20 position. We'll talk a little bit more about that in our post-race show. And then you've got Paolo Mulia, 21st position. Number of retirees in this event, to run through them. You had Stephen Michaels. He was out actually towards the end of this race. Martin Piatella, Ricco Elatale, Marcus Catani, Yuhu Abe, and Fulvio Barazzini and Mattia Sega all out the race. Jeremy Boosloop did not start this event. That is how it was. We'll be back with more from Silverstone in just a couple of moments' time for our post-race show here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. We'll be right back.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race for the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey if he can rip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you
Brad
love it.
Davies, here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big choke for first place.
Well done, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the RaceSpotTV post-race show from the 9th round of the 2014 iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series here on RaceSpotTV. And it's been a pretty entertaining race here today once again, Nick.
It has been a fantastic race. It was really great to see some of those drivers out there today and how they attacked the circuit, how the race unfolded as well, with Hutu looking like he didn't have the pace and all of a sudden just coming together at the end for him. It was truly a great race.
We're going to go right in to driver interviews, and we will start with the guy who came home in the 2nd place here today. That was Ollie Picardo. Ollie, it's been an interesting race for you here today because you were very good on the early going. You actually had matching Gregor Hutu lap for lap for lap. It just seemed to be you came onto pit road a little bit earlier, he was able to go a little bit longer, and that meant he was able to get out ahead of you.
Yeah, that's true. I did what I could. I think I couldn't be happier about my pace. I noticed that Gregor was on higher fuel load and tried to outlap Gregor and do some gap before a pit, but Gregor seemed to go just incredibly fast. At the end of my first stint, he was lapping same lap times, and I couldn't do any better. So yeah, Gregor's pace was phenomenal. Congrats to him. That's why he is 3-time champion, you know.
Well, the thing that we were talking about in the booth was the split strategy that seemed to be between you and Alexei Usiakola. Now, you went pretty late into the race. In fact, you only came onto pit road about 3 laps before Gregor Hutu. Was that a decision taken within the team to split that strategy to try and find a way past that 3-time champion? Or was it just personal preference on the way that you're going to run today?
We talked about strategies before the race with Alexei when we saw that we were 1-2 on the grid. And yeah, I was thinking and discussing with Alexei that, okay, if we go with the same strategy, another guy makes mistakes, so the other guy behind can't get the clean air. So we thought that if Alexei goes on with the 2-stop and does his pace like he normally would have done, then he would be P1 and he could get all the clean air he could, and also I could have all the clean air I could. So it was for the team decision, but unfortunately Alexei had a few problems in the race, so he came on in a P5.
We'll talk about that with Alexei in just one moment's time. But now, of course, we got ourselves a summer break, so you've got yourself just over a month to recharge the batteries. Just how important is this summer break for you?
Yeah, it's quite important for me, especially I've been moving around to Finland couple of times in this season, and next week I go back to Rovaniemi. I travel 500 kilometers and move all my stuff and get my groove going in the Rovaniemi. So this break comes for me with a pretty good place. So we can charge batteries and get everything settled before the season continues.
And I'm guessing overall that you would have liked a win between either yourself or Alexei, taking you into not only the summer break, but of course the famous Glacier TV summer party.
Yeah, definitely. You know it's a tough party.
Yeah, but you got one each, so you've still got something to celebrate. But well done, Ollie Picardo, coming home second in this event. From one finished driver to another, Alexei Yakola coming home fifth after qualifying for this race on pole position. Now, it's been a tough old race for you here today, Alexei. Take us through what's happened to you.
Well, hi Will, and yeah, it was not the race I wanted, so I had a pretty good qualifying lap and it was enough for the pole, but start was pretty nice also, and then lap 2 I lost my force feedback, and after that car was just horrible to drive, and drive off from the track on the third corner and got a slowdown there, and I was struggling with my car. There was no force feedback on my wheel, and after that I was just trying to survive in the race because I knew that if I wanna make that two stops strategy work, I need to push on the limit, and I knew that without my wheel in properly working, I cannot do that. So 5th place was pretty good actually, concerning that my wheel was not working and I spun it around once, so can't complain again.
Can't complain, but at the same time can't be entirely happy with that. Now, do you think that had it have not been for the power steering force feedback issues that you had, you could have actually made that two-stop strategy work, or was Hutu just too strong today?
Yeah, I think it's have been enough for the win with that 2 stops. So in the with good balance that car had on the low fuel, and the car is really nice, and it could have been enough. I think at least on the practice and what we know about our pace, that would have been enough to win.
And of course, summer break coming your way as well. Summer break, is it important for you to regroup? Do you think that the Glacier Racing team can come back and score more victories in the second half of the campaign?
Sorry, I did not listen.
That's okay. No one listens to me. Do you not understand this? Second half of the campaign, after the summer break, is it important to you? And can Glacier Racing get more wins in the second half of the season?
Well, we are just getting know better this new build. After Road America we were a little bit lost, but yeah, we have pretty good races last few of them. So top 5 again, 6th time to me now, and just need to get those wins so I can challenge Hugo and Martin for the 2nd place on the championship.
Is it challenging those 2 drivers to 2nd place? Is Gregor too far away? Is there anything you can do to really reel him in?
I think with this point system what we have in iRacing, so no one can take Gregor's championship anymore, because win gives only 10 points more than 2nd place, and after that it's not matter are you 2nd or 10th. The same amount of points so you just need to win, and Gregor have showed us how to win races, and that's why he's 4-time champion.
Already predicting it to be a 4-time champion there for Gregor Hutu. Thank you very much, Alexei Yakola.
Thank you
for having a chat with us. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much is all we have time for here today. Before we go any further, don't forget, for more information about the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series and the NASCAR Peak Anti-Prix Series powered by iRacing.com, head over to wcs.iracing.com. For news, interviews, of course, you can see my review of this race up there in just a couple of days' time as well. To give you an update on the championship, Gregor Hutu now has a 99-point lead over Hugo Louise. And Martin Kroenke is battling in that third place right now. He's just 15 points behind Hugo Louise right now. And then it's Olli Pekala in fourth place, Alexei Yutiakola rounding out your top 5 in the points. As we said, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have time for today for the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We're back on air for the 10th round of the championship at Twinrin Motegi. That'll be on the 19th of July 2014. Yep, the drivers get a summer break in this series and will be on from 1:30 PM GMT once again here on iRacing Live and on RaceSpotTV. In the meanwhile, however, you've got 3 rounds of the NASCAR Peak Anti-Prix Series Championship powered by iRacing.com. First one of them will be June 17th at Michigan International Raceway. It's your speed for 125 laps on PSR TV, MRN, the Motor Racing Network, and of course on iRacing Live. And they've got races at Kentucky Speedway on July 1st and New Hampshire Motor Speedway on July 15th as well, before we come back here on RaceSpotTV for the 10th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series from Silverstone here in the United Kingdom. For myself, Will Vincent and Nick Rowland, we will see you all in 5 weeks' time. Have a great World Cup, everyone. And also, don't forget, check out Le Mans, possibly the best 24-hour race in the world. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
The NASCAR Peak Anti-Prix Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's been the race for the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
as you love it.
Here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around the 5